What's up, guys? Adam Green here with No More News. Thank you all for joining me. Today, Monday, April 28th, 2025. Got a huge show for you guys to start off the week. New meme I made. A throwback to the old meme days. This is one of the classic memes of the Joker from The Dark Knight. Say Jesus is fake and nobody bats an eye. Say he was invented by Jews and everybody loses their minds. Very true. Proud of this one. This is more directed not so much at the Christians and the believers, but at the atheists. They're all totally fine with saying Jesus is fake, it's mind control, it's a myth. But then you say, well, so things are purported to be true that aren't true, and it was sold as truth to people. So who lied about it? Who made it up? Who lied about it? Who intended on people believing this to be true? They don't want you asking who. Then you become anti-Semite if you asked who made it up. And then if you look up who and why, you just got to look at the scriptures, and it's very clear what the motive and the intent was. I tried something new today. I didn't set up any of the streams before and post them and saying starting in an hour or starting in half an hour. I just click live. I did post it on Twitter that we're live now, but I just click live, so I didn't have a thumbnail. The title may even be wrong, I think, on Odysee. We're streaming on Rumble, Odysee. I don't think it's connected to BitChute. You have to redo it every time on BitChute. And on X, though. And if you guys want to support the show, every dollar helps. I can't do it without you. I always love your power chats. If you do the Rumble rants, you can do a message with a voice. You can go to the power chat. The links are all in the description below. You can do your cool voice, different AI voices, and your message to contribute to the show, the content, and financially. People slowly rolling in. Yeah, that's why I have the 2-minute intro too. So hopefully, preferably I will be doing the thumbnails and the titles and advertising it before I go live. But today, I was up real late last night. I had the panel stream with like 10 guys, and then I went over on Big Tech stream and we finished the rest of the Nick Fuentes on InfoWars, which I asked him. He hasn't responded yet, but I'm sure he probably will if he's not busy. Me and Big Tech are going to be watching live the Andrew Wilson versus apostate prophet debate on Zionism. That should be streaming live today. I already saw on Andrew's Twitter that there's Antifa protesters there for him, so he's really happy about himself today. Also, Jay Dyer going on Piers Morgan. That'll probably be up in a few days. I don't think they stream those live, but I'll be interested to see how that goes as well. And something interesting for you guys. You guys know Louis Theroux, the BBC documentary filmmaker. I just noticed he's got a new documentary out called Settlers, like West Bank Israeli settlers. Should be good because he's the one that went and saw the settlers before, and he's the one that got that famous footage of all the Christians over there picking the grapes and talking about how they're fulfilling prophecy to serve the Jews. And then they interviewed the Israeli guy inside the wine factory, and he's like, "Yeah, the goyim can pick the grapes, but they can't touch the grapes once they're inside the building. That's not kosher." So he's following me, though. I don't have any idea why. Maybe he saw some of my anti-religion content. I'm assuming he's anti-religious. So who knows? Maybe he wants me to be the star of the new Green Pill documentary. He wants to do a documentary on Jesus being a hoax. That would be amazing. But you never see any of that stuff. You don't see the evidence for a historical Jesus is very poor, very flimsy, and a lot of evidence that it began as a myth and is always been a myth. But you don't see big documentaries. You don't see huge influencers. You don't see influential Jews out there pushing the idea that Jesus never existed. So today we're going to cover a little bit of the latest with Trump and geopolitical news. We got some anti-white stuff on BBC. We're going to finally get to the Charlie Kirk debate interviews. We're going to get up to speed on the Candace Owens versus Roseanne. Roseanne's on Alex Jones' show today. I'm sure they'll get into anti-Semitism stuff. That's what she's fighting with Candace Owens on. And some yay stuff, some other stuff. Going to be a big show. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, I gotta get it all up beforehand. Let's see here. What is this breaking news about Stonehenge? Sorry, I'm just getting a little sidetracked. I want to see. Scientists used a chemical footprint to study Stonehenge altar stone. Oh, we heard this. This is old news. April 27th, they're covering it again for some reason. And my music's coming on again for some reason. We already heard about this. This is not new news. This is just engagement farming. That they moved one of the stones hundreds of miles, 500 miles away from Scotland. So how did they do it? New mystery. But okay, let's start with the Trump stuff. Bold move, Cotton. What's the bold move? Jack Stone, I missed it. But I like that soundbite. I should get that soundbite when somebody does something crazy. I got a new one, a new soundbite too, for when we play clips or when you guys are getting out of control.
Cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
There you go. Goes right along with stereotyping Jews is terrible.
Stereotyping Jews is terrible.
Terrible. We watched that clip last night, actually. That was a South Park segment making a mockery of Christians being mad about Jews killing Jesus. Good movie. Hail Chat says conspiracy truther. Need more Amalek says 10 out of 10. Very healthy sleeping patterns, huh? Oh, Need More Amalek says be careful with Louis Theroux. I was told he snuffed Richard Spencer. He did a bunch of filming and everything of Spencer and never used it because it made Spencer look good. That's funny. Yeah, I could see that. They'd instead rather give a bunch of attention to Beardson and Baked Alaska. Okay, so remember Trump tweeted out a few days ago that he's just spoke with Netanyahu on numerous subjects, including trade, Iran, etc. The call went very well. We are on the same side of every issue, is what he said about a week ago. Now, update from yesterday. Trump says Iran talks going very well, and Netanyahu warns that a bad deal with Iran is worse than no deal. He doesn't want a deal. He wants bombing, I'm sure. Mark Levin, who just got nominated to Homeland Security? That's the new guy, right? It was Mark Levin, Trump's new Homeland Security official. Says the axis of evil. Might as well just call it Gog and Magog, Rabbi Levin. Russia, Iran sign nuclear expansion deal amid U.S.-Iran talks. So Trump's trying to negotiate peace with Ukraine and Putin, and he's trying to negotiate nuclear deals, I guess, with Iran for them to not have a nuke. That's basically what Trump's big issue is, what Trump keeps saying, what he claims the issue is. And then now, while all that's going on, Iran and Russia sign an nuclear expansion deal. And they've already had defense pact treaties along with China for a long time as well. So that's happening. I saw a lot of the Trump shills trying to share these these headlines saying Trump says he won't be dragged into a war with Iran. Like, oh, he's so based. Oh, you people calling him a Zionist. You're so wrong. They're literally misrepresenting the full context of the clip. He said, no, he won't be dragged in. Like, Trump's like, nobody's dragging me to do anything. But he said, if he wants to, he will lead the charge. And let's get real. If there's a massive attack on Israel, you don't think that's going to drag Trump in? If there is an attack on America, you don't think that's going to drag Trump in? He can speak a big game and say he's not going to be dragged in, but there's ways of dragging him in, and you don't have to drag all these people in because they'll be all for it. And that's what Trump even said, but it doesn't stop all of the Trump 4D chess people trying to act like Trump's so based. So here it is. Here's the clip, I think. Oh, and this is the talk about Trump waving off the attack. That's probably bullshit too. They're giving the narrative that Trump doesn't want war and he wants peace, and he tried every avenue to bring peace, but he just had to do it. He was forced into it. They forced his hand. It's a good plausible deniability.
And they said the attack is what?
That you waved off an Israeli plan to attack Iranian nuclear facilities.
I wouldn't say waved off. I'm not in a rush to do it because I think that Iran has a chance to have a great country.
He's not in a rush to do it. He's willing to do it. But kind of like Adam King said on the show, like the Jews say, first you must declare shalom, declare peace, or offer peace. And then if they don't do it, then you can wage war. So he's just following the Talmudic war conduct.
To live happily without death, and I'd like to see that. That's my first option. If there's a second option, I think it would be very bad for Iran. And I think Iran is wanting to talk. I hope they're wanting to talk. It's going to be very good for them if they do.
Yeah, he said he won't be dragged in, but he will lead it. And then all these people on Twitter were like, look, he says he won't be dragged in. So based. He Netanyahu mogged. It's like, not really, dude. You guys are so desperate.
And I'd like to see Iran thrive in the future, do fantastically well. I know the Iranian people, they're incredible people. Always have been very smart, very energetic, very successful people. And I don't want to do anything that's going to hurt anybody. I really don't. But Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. It's, pretty simple. It's really simple. We're not looking to take their industry. We're not looking to take their land. All we're saying is you can't have a nuclear weapon.
That's been Netanyahu's rhetoric for 30, 40 years. Times of Israel says, Trump, Israel won't drag us into war with Iran, but will lead the pack if no deal made. He said, very quickly we'll join the Abraham Accords. Oh, he says that they're going to join the Abraham Accords. I saw a clip of Netanyahu going around too. I'm not sure if it was brand new, but him saying that it's just the leadership of Iran. If they just get some Israel-friendly leadership in there, that's all it could take to not have a war, at least for the time being. Because Netanyahu and Trump can pretend like they don't want war, but we know all the rabbis and what they say about war with Edom in Iran and Gog and Magog. Now, Kanye. Uh-oh, here we go.
John I'm sent $5, Adam. I think all the hype about accepting other cabinet members backing out of an Iran attack may be a disingenuous attempt to legitimize those ultra-Zionists.
I think so too. Exactly. That's basically what I was trying to describe also, what's going on with this. Same type of thing. So remember, Kanye says that we covered this a couple days ago. He says he wants Nick Fuentes to interrogate Aiden Ross, a Jewish streamer, on the Torah, which I love Kanye doing all this Torah naming. I'm pretty sure he's getting Torah mixed up with Talmud. He's a Christian, he loves Jesus, well then you believe the Torah is the word of God. So why do you want to interrogate the Torah? He means the Talmud. He doesn't know the difference between the two, apparently. But hilarious that he thinks that a Catholic who believes that the Torah is the word of God given to Moses on Mount Sinai, is going to interrogate some secular Jew that doesn't know anything about the Torah. That's Kanye's great idea. But where is it? He did a post the other day on Twitter saying all of this is in the Torah, and then he just listed all of the Talmud quotes that you see in the memes. And then now Kanye says, even with the death threats, I will still post these positive bars from the Torah. And again, this is not Torah. This is Talmud. But the Talmud derives these from the Torah for the most part, right? So he says, study Torah daily because it brings life and blessing. Yeah, study your Hebrew scriptures, Goy. You will be blessed. Bless God's chosen people in the Holy Scriptures, and you will be blessed. And then the purpose of the Torah is to bring peace to the world. Thank you, Rabbi Kanye. Isn't that good? So maybe he's got it figured out. He was corrected mixing up the Torah and the Talmud, but that's something. Yeah, the panel stream was last night, and it's only available on Rumble. So here's Kanye. Mind you, he's been posting interracial porn cartoons and cucked porn cartoons and hardcore porn on his timeline for a while. And then now he's going to come out and say Jews are middle management. They work for the whites. They're scapegoated by the whites, and the Vatican runs everything, and God is black. That's where we're at now. And this is why I told you guys from day one, this guy's doing more harm than good. The whole we was Jews, he's a Jew. He's not Jewish, he's Jew. He thinks that ain't it.
If you look at Black Panther, now it's going to be some Disney shit. Some shit ran by the lower middle management, which is the Jews, because the Jews really work for the whites, which work for the Catholic Church. You get what I'm saying? But God runs the world, and this is God. You know this color. You know what it is. So
black gods. We got that melanin. Jews are just middle management being scapegoated. It's really the Vatican. Kanye needs to be green-pilled, man. The Torah is the conspiracy, is the Jewish conspiracy. It's the root of it. And Christianity is controlled opposition and worships a Jew, according to the Jewish scriptures and the Jewish plan. Kanye is being insulated by Christians, the Christian-controlled op. You're not opposing Yahweh. You're not opposing Jews if you're not opposing Yahweh in the Torah. And I think I have a perfect example of that, by the way, of these Christians. Where was it? Oh, yeah, here it is. The problem with Christians. So one of the Groypers says Judaism is evil, but why is it evil? Elaborate. And then what do the Christians say? Well, they don't believe in Jesus. They're antichrist. So your only problem with Judaism is that Jews aren't Jewing right? That they rejected the Messiah that was meant to conquer the whole world according to the Jewish plan? That's the problem? Or even better, no, it's not the Old Testament. It's not Judaism. It's only the Talmud. Talmud only. Talmud is, like you guys know, only commentaries and expanding and some other lore, all rooted and based on the Torah. It quotes the Torah in like every paragraph. It's the oral law interpretations to the written law, the Torah and the Tanakh. But these Christians go, you guys are criticizing Christianity and not Jews. You guys won't criticize the core root of the whole conspiracy. And not only will you not criticize it, but you say it's the word of God. C2Wordall says, does anybody find it weird how Christians constantly talk about Jesus doing away with the law? Who gives a fuck about the law? They do always say that. They go, oh, we're not under the law anymore. Jesus freed us for the law. He fulfilled the law. Like, why would any of us care about the Jewish law?
Forget about it.
Sinning, like, we're not sinners because we don't follow the Jewish law correctly. See what you
The
have to
new
say.
is, a lot of Christians have this idea that, we all read the Bible. The Jews are the Old Testament, we're the New Testament. But the New Testament, the relationship between the New Testament and the Old Testament, it's not a sequel. The New Testament and the theology in it replaces the theology of the Old Testament. The temple itself is destroyed because Jesus becomes the new temple. There's no need for a temple. There's no need for animal sacrifices. He becomes the sacrifice.
So they're spiritual Jews with their spiritual temple. It's spiritualized Judaism. They're wannabe spiritual Jews. Jesus freed us from the law. We were never under the law.
So in the Old Testament, they're sacrificing animals. They talk about the red heifer. They're trying to do that. God gives us a more perfect sacrifice. He offers up himself. And so this is where a lot...
God sacrifices himself to fulfill his prophecies. And you got to believe that in the magical Jewish prophecies. Otherwise, you're bad. It's such brainwashing. Yeah, they are. Base Gigachud says these midwits are trapped in the vicious loop. They are. Everybody is brainwashed on the prophecy paradigm.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
It's like a Jewish cult's taken over half the world. Anybody else notice this? People online think everything's a conspiracy, but the number one religion and most powerful institution, the Abrahamic religions of the last 2,000 years that were given to us by Jews according to the Jewish plan. And nobody bats an eye. Half the world are like Zionists support Israel and everybody loses their mind. Half the world worships the God of Israel and nobody bats an eye.
A lot of the Protestants say, well, we need to support Israel because the Bible says those who bless Israel will be blessed. But Israel,
they're talking about the family.
They're talking about, that's in the book of Genesis. And the book of Genesis is talking about what is Israel in the Old Testament and the first covenant that God makes with the Jewish people. When Jesus comes...
See, so affirming, legitimizing the idea that the Jews' covenant with God is real or was ever real, is giving them like everything, every one of their delusions. It's feeding into all of their delusions. It's enabling the whole con. If your main problem with Jews is that they're not Jewing right and they rejected their Messiah, the battle's over before it even began. Isn't it odd that the biggest anti-Semites in the world are like, yes, you were chosen, but you're not anymore. How about you were never chosen?
Covenant that God makes with the Jewish people. When Jesus comes, just like everything else, Israel's transformed. Yes. The laws changed, the priesthood has changed, the temple has changed, and Israel changes. What was the family and the race?
They have different laws. The laws have changed. They didn't want the Gentiles to circumcise and keep kosher and the Sabbath and all of the 613 mitzvahs. They didn't want the Christians. The prophecy said that the Gentiles, all the nations, would worship the God of Israel, but they can't. There's a problem. There's a dilemma because they can't convert to Judaism. Although the first Christians reportedly did have debates on if Gentiles had to convert to Judaism and get circumcised in order to be Christians, to follow Messianic Judaism and Jewish Jesus. In fact, you guys know Paul was a Moel, right? Paul circumcised an adult. One of the founders of Christianity who wrote most of the earliest books of the New Testament, literally circumcised adults and was a Pharisee. That's how Jewish it was. Peter, the supposed first pope, Jesus' supposed best friend. Oh, it wasn't Jewish. It didn't come from Jews. He literally wouldn't even eat with Gentiles. White Stag asked, did Paul do his circumcision with his teeth? I don't know. If you think the Jews were doing the Brit Milah back then, I'm not exactly sure when it started. I'm guessing it started in ancient times. Orally circumcised since he was a mole. Yeah, I guess Paul did have to do the Brit Milah on that adult after he circumcised him. I guess Jesus had a Brit Milah as well. If Jesus was circumcised on the 8th day according to Jewish law, if they were doing that, he had it done, if it were real. And I guess there's nothing wrong with it. Christians have no ground to criticize circumcision or the Brit Milah, because if it happened to Jesus, then it must not be a sin, because Jesus is sinless, right? Gay. Yeah. They're circumcising Jesus. Paul circumcising the adult. What was it, Titus, I think? And they were like,
Jesus Christ! Oh, Jesus Christ, you're such a little bitch.
That's what he told him when he was circumcising his foreskin.
This becomes the body of Christ. He says there is neither Jew nor Gentile. The new Israel is the Christians. We're the new Israel. If you believe in Christ.
Yeah. Are you against Israel? Are you against Yahweh and Judaism if you want to be the new Israel? No, you're just a wannabe Jew that's enabling the whole delusion. Part of the problem. Not fighting against Judaism, fighting within Judaism for your own specific flavor of it.
You're now the chosen people. You enter into the covenant with God. You're grafted onto that tree.
Grafted onto that Jewish tree.
And so that's a theological difference that we call supersessionist has with
Timothy.
these dispensationalist Christians.
Paul circumcised not Titus, Timothy. Oh, we always hear that. So here he is with Owen talking about evolution. Let's hear their anti-evolution theories and arguments, shall we?
Have you ever been to the Vatican?
No, never.
I could maybe go visit the Vatican. I'd like to go into the basement where the relics are.
The chronovisor?
Whatever they got down there.
They say that they can see history, that they can look through goggles and they can see events that happened in the past.
Really? Like a time machine? Like a vision of
like
a time
machine? Yeah, but so they say they've witnessed the birth of Christ and his crucifixion. They say they witnessed... this is like conspiracy theory stuff. I don't think it's real. But
yeah, that doesn't
that's
sound
what people
very
say.
Real. I don't know. I think that one thing is there's enough evidence to support the theory that the Catholic Church has used its theology to go into archaeological discoveries and basically just steal artifacts and just hide them.
Good. I think
the Catholic Church has used its theology. No, Catholicism is influenced by Jewish theology and Hebrew scriptures that talk about conquering the pagan idols and imposing Yahweh on them. He makes it out to be almost scapegoating the Catholics, like the Catholics did this in the name of the God of Israel, instructed by the Hebrew prophets, or their interpretations of the Hebrew prophets.
I think they should.
Really?
Should they be in Africa?
You know who that really upsets?
Who?
The Jews.
Oh, yeah. I had a debate with Adam King.
Yeah, he's really into that.
Oh, yeah, he's obsessed with that. Yeah, that's fake, by the way. He says that we have some stolen library. No such thing exists.
I view it more as, and again, it's all about whatever.
There's the Rabbi Bleck, the Kabbalah rabbi, who says he went to the Vatican. He did, and we know he did. The Pope invited all these Jews and rabbis to the Vatican, and he went and saw a few pages of some books they have of Maimonides. And he claims that the Catholic bishop or whoever he was dealing with says that they've got like millions of books and documents.
Your background is, for your perspective, I just view it as these are things that the world should have access to. I don't even look at it as a religious thing. I just view it as this all humans should have access to this secret knowledge. I mean, they obviously lie to us about evolution. They lie to us about the history of the earth. Who knows? Maybe they lie to us about the shape of the earth. I don't know. The point is...
Come on. I don't know. The earth could be flat. Who knows? The Vatican's keeping it from us that the earth is really flat. Come on, Owen. You're like like big text term. He's a trans earther. Like you could be, maybe you're flat, maybe you're a pear, maybe you're this. It's like, dude, come on. We know they're lying about evolution. You know that? What have you did I miss all of the evolutionary biologists you've had on the show to like debate this issue? It hasn't happened. But here's Owen's evolution theories. This is Jesus' brain
knowledge. I mean, they obviously lie to us about evolution. They lie to us about the history of the earth. Who knows? Maybe they lie to us about the shape of the earth. I don't know. The point is, they keep that.
No, yeah, it's them lying about atheism or about evolution. No, the Jews are telling the truth about Genesis and Adam and Eve being molded from clay and being created from Adam's rib and taking the forbidden fruit and talking to the snake. And then Eve being cursed with painful childbirth. No, that's the real story. That's the truth. They're lying about that evolution.
That secret from us intentionally. It's like they want human history to be like a closed hangout.
I don't think.
Why would the Catholic Church, or the Jews for that matter, their whole goal is getting you to believe in Genesis?
TheNames sent $5 on Rumble. It was interesting to see Alex Jones sweep and cover for Palantir during his interview with Fuentes. If the Zionist gatekeeping wasn't enough, Jones minimizing Palantir surveillance shows he's scum.
Yeah, it did seem damage control on the Palantir stuff. He really tried to minimize and downplay that. Totally. I watched that on Big Tech Stream the other day. We talked about that. It was pretty obvious. Thank you, namesake. You see how illogical this argument is? Yet Jesus brain. It's like, yeah, the Vatican, and then people say online too, the Jews are trying to, they don't want you to know you were created by God. They want you to think that you're a pond scum floating on a speck of dust in faith. No, the Jews and the Catholics want you to believe in Genesis. They want you to believe in their creation story. Jews and Christians and Catholics had to drag their feet to even admit evolution was true.
Jenna sent $5 on Rumble.
Thank you, Jenna. They dragged their feet to even admit that evolution is true because they still wanted to recruit people. And people know, oh, well, if they think evolution, if they have to decide between evolution and religion, a lot of people these days are going to go, well, I guess religion's not true. Adam and Eve sounds like a made-up bullshit story. But no, in Owens' world, the Catholics don't want you to believe Genesis. And they're covering up that God made you. No, they want everybody to believe that God made us in his image.
That's true. I think you could visit the Vatican archives and they let people go in there and study.
No.
I don't buy that they're hiding all these secrets.
Oh, my
There's like
dude.
Some Protestant stuff when you say the Vatican.
They are.
It's some Dan Brown Da Vinci Code stuff.
There have been.
And then the InfoWars control room now goes to the Need More Amalek tweet. He says we get to keep all the cool pagan stuff.
Discoveries, and literally the Catholic Church will come in and claim we have this land, and then all the stuff they discovered just disappears.
I don't know. If
it's happened multiple times. Mostly it happens in Europe, but it's happened all over.
I'm okay with it, though. I don't think that necessarily everything...
You're okay with it?
I am.
Are you a Catholic supremacist?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I
okay.
mean, it's a true religion.
I guess
that's what I've always called him. People call him a white supremacist. I go, he's not even really fully white, and he's a Catholic supremacist, not a white supremacist. He's a Jesus first, not America first.
Consistent with your beliefs.
It's a true religion, yeah. So, I mean... You know, to me, the museum thing really irritates me because that sounds like third world stuff when they say, well, we need to return these colonized possessions back to the Middle East. It's like, why? So they could get blown up by ISIS? So some African could use it to pick his teeth or something?
I guess my angle is we have to defeat the theory of evolution. It has to be defeated.
You have to defeat the theory of evolution? Well, then why have you never hosted a debate? Bring your top creationist, intelligent design dude, and then have him go up against some evolutionary biologist. If you think the real threat is evolution, not these Jewish fairy tales that's got half the world believing in the Jewish God, that's not the conspiracy. It's them evolution trying to cover up the truth about Yahweh making us. Like, Owen, do you believe, what's more likely, Owen, Adam and Eve story, or it happened naturally through random mutations and survival of the fittest? What's more likely?
Defeated. We cannot let this go on because ultimately it's like the theory of evolution and the lie of climate change is going to be like the two-pronged attack to put you into the slave planet. It's like those are going to be the two things that they box you in with So you mean nothing. You're a squirrel turd that evolved. So you mean nothing. You have nothing. There's nothing divine about you. You have no connection to the Almighty. You're just an evolution of a squirrel fart. Versus
a squirrel fart. Because, you know, that's what atheists think. Oh, you're just a nothing squirrel fart. No, we think evolution is incredible and amazing and explains thoroughly the complexity of all life and how it changed and how it spreads out. We know about DNA and mutation and genetic variation and how that leads to different traits. Some of these traits help an organism reproduce more and survive, and others don't. Isn't it funny? Like, yeah, they're trying to enslave us with evolution. No, they're enslaving you by having you a slave to Yahweh. These pro-white Christians choose Jewish fairy tales over real... yeah, perfect. Love that. Let's see. Hold on. I don't know why I didn't play. I'll replay it. How's the noise, too, with the... That's like a Super Mario coin, right? Here we go. We'll play this again. Thank you, namesake. Oh, it's not reading it because it's only $2.
Sent $2 on Rumble. These pro-white Christians choose Jewish fairy tales over real European scientific discoveries like evolution, physics, and astronomy.
Yep. Exactly. No, the ancient Jews were right. You got to believe Moses and the Torah and Genesis. Hey, forget all the verses in the Bible about all the goyim being bowing down and worshiping and licking the dust before their feet and trembling in fear before their God, and every knee will bow. No, they're trying to enslave us with evolution. Yahweh and the Mashiach in the Bible, that's not enslaving us. No, it's evolution's the threat. It's all completely backwards, Owen. Owen, I should ask Owen, say, hey, come on my show and debate evolution since you think it's the biggest threat. I'll host a evolution debate. Since InfoWars I've never seen have a debate on Jesus existing, on Christianity being true, on evolution being true. Has that ever happened? Ever?
It has to be defeated. We cannot let this go on, because ultimately it's like the theory of evolution and the lie of climate change is going to be like the two-pronged attack to put you into the slave planet. It's like those are going to be the two things that they box you in with. So you mean nothing.
No, the Messiah and the Son of Man having dominion over all the nations and every knee bowing. That's not creating a slave planet. No, evolution is. Please. Why would the people that want everybody to believe the Bible be lying about evolution?
You're a squirrel turd that evolved. So you mean nothing. You have nothing. There's nothing divine about you. You have no connection to the Almighty. You're just an evolution of a squirrel fart.
Are you like all desperate to be divine? Like, what does that even mean? You want to be God? You want to be special? Look, there's a meme for it. You got the Abrahamic gatekeepers. See nothing, hear nothing, say nothing. Like, come on. There's no evidence for evolution. This is AI generated, obviously. But can you not see through transitional steps over hundreds of millions of years, little tiny incremental changes? We are apes. I'll die on the evolution hill, guys, by the way. Sorry. I know even some anti-religious, anti-Abrahamic religious people still believe in some form of creationism and deny evolution. I don't understand why. It's like, what do you think happened then? Anyway, I like that one. Evolution of man. Like, can you not see little transitional steps?
And your existence now is also killing your environment. So you can't, you need to be in prison, basically. If you even get the right to exist, your whole life is going to be rationed out. So that's kind of why I look at it more than any other angle. I'm like, people need to know you've been lied to about human history. You've been lied to about the history of the earth, and it totally defeats the...
What lie? You're saying evolution is a lie covering up the truth about Adam and Eve? Is that what you're saying, Owen?
The theory of evolution.
Oh, yeah, by the way, thank you, Brother BD. Yeah, we learned late last night False alarm on Ethan Ralph. Ethan Ralph has risen. He is alive. Not dead. Didn't drown. Thank God. Thank the Lord. Can't abort the retort. And he's already landed in Colombia. So the content king, the king of the sector, I'm sure will... he hasn't survived the Colombia trip yet. So he hasn't made it back yet. But it is dangerous down there. But I'm hoping he has a good time and stays safe down there.
White_stag sent $10 on Rumble. That guy Liam on the panel last night was great. Can't believe King was pretending that Jews don't hate pagans.
Yeah, maybe him personally doesn't hate the pagans like because the Christians are always saying like, you killed Jesus, you worship the devil, you're a Khazarian, you drink baby blood. They're saying that stuff to him. So I could see why a Jew today would hate Christians that say that. Also, they're saying we have the covenant now, we're the chosen people now, we're the true Israel, you're fake. So I could see that, but from the macro level of Judaism is way more against paganism. And we've seen all the other rabbis say it as well, that Christianity is not as bad as paganism. It's closer to monotheism. So, yeah, I think if you reframe the question to him in a different way, like I think Need More Amalek was doing, he did a good job of that last night on the panel. He said, like, but Jesus brought the Gentiles closer to Yahweh and believing the Torah, so in that way it's better than paganism. And he said, yeah. He pretended he didn't know the Herzl quote about them making anti-Semites that best friends. He may have never heard that before. It's possible he's never even read Herzl. I don't think a lot of people haven't read Herzl. And I think he knows how they ultimately benefit them, though. But what is it? Reading Herzl. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he didn't.
Interesting. Catholics believe that we can believe in evolution, though.
Which they're wrong about.
You don't think so? You're a creationist?
100%.
I believe we're created also.
I'm 100% a creationist.
Mm.
I mean, I would say that's undeniable.
Mm-hmm.
I think anybody, and we were talking about this in the break, like anybody who claims to be philosophical and intellectual, we were talking about Jordan Peterson, if they can't tell you you're created, we're a divine creation, I don't care about religion or like that. I mean, clearly humans are different than everything else on the planet. Like that.
What is humans being different? That's your argument? Humans are different than everything else? Evolution explains why we're different. And why is it humans being different than everything else? We all bleed red. We breathe oxygen. We're covered in hair like other mammals. We have mammary glands like other animals. We reproduce in the same way. We're almost exactly like all of the rest of, the species on Earth. Much more similar to primates and other mammals, but still there's similarities between us and reptiles and us and, all the other life on Earth, especially at the genetic level with how our genes work and chromosomes and stuff. And also, so like, why is the argument humans are so much different? Like, what are you saying? We're special. We have the souls just because we have the most advanced brains. Like, birds' wings are so much better at flying. They're so much different than our arms. So like that proves God. No. This guy looks like a monkey. Just because like our brains, like some animals get really tough skin. Some animals grow a horn, and that helps them. We succeeded and we thrived because of our thinking and our brain and our consciousness. That's why our brains are the most developed. Besides our most developed brains, we're almost identical to chimpanzees and other primates and apes. Besides the brain. And it's not God intervening to do the brain. The brain evolved through eating meat and communicating. And then once that became our greatest strength, evolution started favoring that, and our brains became very advanced over hundreds of thousands or millions of years. So, you're going to get mogged hard with the evolutionary biologists if your argument is, we're so different. That proves where God made us is we're different. Not so different, buddy.
I'm talking about Jordan Peterson. If they can't tell you you're created, we're a divine creation. I don't care about religion or like that.
We were farmed by Anunnaki.
Humans are different than everything else on the planet. Like, that is undeniable. That's proof of divine creation. And if you want to pose as an intellectual or a
that's your proof, is that our brain is a little more evolved than other apes? That's all the proof you need? Why is it just that our brains, it's proof that our brains are better than other animals? Well, why don't you just say, well, a mouse's brain is so much more advanced than the brain of an ant? Is that proof also? Having diversity and complexity in life is proof in itself? No, that's proof of evolution. In fact, evolution better explains all of the wild diversity, like tens of thousands of different species of each, like bird or fish. God is just like, okay, there's a million species, there's another million species. That species went extinct. Only one little strand and thread and branch of that one went on and evolved some more. I know he's gaslighting so hard. Like, evolution is a fact, and it's proven in like every study of science confirms it. For hundreds of years, there hasn't been anything that disproves evolution. Soylent Goy says, I was planted here by space Aryans. That's funny.
And you can't recognize that, then to me, I don't trust anything else you have to say. That's like missing the elephant in the room.
If you believe in evolution, I don't trust anything you have to say. Hey, Owen, if you believe in Adam and Eve in Genesis, and then Adam was poofed into existence and molded from clay, and Eve came from his rib, and painful childbirth is not a product of evolution, but of God cursing Eve with painful childbirth, I don't trust anything you have to say. That's the litmus test. It's like, what's more likely, Jewish magic or a natural process that we've observed and that you can make predictions with that come true?
Right.
All right. Here's my evolution thing. I covered this on the panel last night, but I just want to talk about it real quick again. You can't discredit opposition to Jews like Ezra Levant any more than leading with, you killed God. You start off, your central talking point is you killed God, and most people think you're insane. Hey, some fringes of the internet might go, oh, you got him. That Christ killer, you got that Christ killer. He goes, I was never there, buddy. I had nothing to do with it. That's insane. Hey, you wouldn't have your religion, in God's prophecy wouldn't be fulfilled if Jews didn't reject their Messiah.
That's a very rude thing to say. It's unchristian.
This is some Irish nationalist guy.
It's absolutely ridiculous. It's unchristian.
Well, I came to you just to ask you.
You crucified our Lord Jesus Christ.
I wasn't there, brother.
And then you're telling me his blood be upon us and upon our children.
And we're washed in the blood as well. Like, isn't it hilarious how Christians will say to Jews, like, no, it's on your hands and the blood is on your hands and the hands of your children. You're cursed forever. As if, like, the Jews would be like, curse us forever, God. The blood is on us for eternity. Curse us. Like the Pharisee yelled out, curse me, God. And then the Christians are like, we're washed in the blood. Are you washed in the blood? You stole me Lucky Charms, and you crucified me, Lord and Savior. Good. You're turning off all of the people that don't believe, and you can't even get most Christians on board with this as the talking point. White Knight said evolution is a good mitzvah to make us all animals. We are animals. The only thing that differentiates us from animals is that we have a more advanced brain because of evolution. Our brains evolved. A mitzvah is believing what the rabbis want you to believe. We're all created in God's image. We're all children of God. We all come from Noah's Ark. That's what they want you to believe.
I
think you're a discredit to this movement. I think.
I think you're a Jew, and I think he came over to me, and I told him that I didn't want to talk to him because he was a Jew. Yeah, but just that have nothing to do. Now, let him.
It actually does.
He's not here because
I will. I'm just. It's so clear.
Just go away.
That you're here to undermine.
Just go away. Yeah. Look, that's what they're normally.
I know. We eat like other animals. We bleed like other animals. We poop like other animals. We breathe air like other animals. We reproduce like other animals. We've got the same genetic coding as other animals, but we're not animals. We're special. Like, what's with the desperation? Can't you be one with nature? Oh, that's pagan. No, we have to be special. Does this come from like a place of insecurity? Like, I didn't come from no monkey.
Will you accept Christ and we shall forgive you?
Accept Christ and we shall forgive you. And then you can join our churches and be one of us.
Will you accept Christ, Ezra?
Accept the Mashiach that was meant to enslave all of us. How dare you?
I hope you come to terms with whatever your issues are.
Ezra, will you accept Christ as your Savior?
Accept Christ as your Savior. They do this to Jews, but guess what? Throughout history, in the grand scheme of things, they did this to pagans and non-believers on a scale way more than Jews. We always hear about Jews being the greatest victim of this, but ultimately way more Gentiles got this treatment. It's not just the Jews that became satanic for not believing in Jesus. It's all Gentiles also by extension were labeled as satanic and antichrist if we don't bow down to the King of the Jews. It sounds will you accept Moshiach? It's like the rabbis, you will be a Noahide and you will serve us and you will bow to Moshiach or off with your head. That's what these guys sound like to me. It's the same exact thing.
Die Fresse, Juden! Das Juden.
Martinez, who I just did a show with him, Brandon Martinez, last week, he says, of all the criticisms one could level at Levant, you killed Christ ain't one of them. Jesus was Jewish himself, so this Wignat worships a Jewish man as God. Perfect controlled op nonsense. Now, these guys all LARPing as America first are Jesus first. A Christian is not a true Christian if they're not Jesus first. It says you have to hate your own family and people. And if you don't hate your family in comparison to loving Jesus, you can't be a real Christian and follow Jesus. Even the supposed base Christians like Pastor Anderson here, who revealed in his documentary is actually Ashkenazi.
You praise Obama,
they're not European first. They're not America first. They're Yeshua HaMashiach, King of the Jews, Rabbi Jesus first.
and the Bible says, they that forsake the law praise the wicked, but such as keep the law contend with them. You praise Obama, you're praising the wicked. You praise Bush, you're praising the wicked. You praise 99% of the members of Congress and our Senate, you're praising the wicked. Those that keep the law contend with them. You say, oh, well, you just need to leave. If you don't like America, you need to... No, these bunch of Satanists that are running our country need to leave. Right. Amen. You know,
Again, in scapegoating Satanists, they're Christians. Is it like 8 or 9 out of 10 in Congress identify as Christian? Every Republican is like Judeo-Christian values in Jesus, and every knee will bow. Christ is king. No, it's not. It's not the Christians that are worshiping a foreign nation. They're Satanists. Do you think these Christians actually? They hate Satan. They fear Satan. All of these Christians, they're not secret Satanists. They're scared of Satan, and that's what pushes them towards Rabbi Yeshua.
bunch of satanic, blood dripping from their hand monsters that don't care who they kill, who they hurt, that just promote sin, ungodliness, destroy the family, destroy religion, destroy the economy, destroy our money, they destroy our prosperity. They need to leave. And don't you be their cheerleader. Have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. And you know what?
I feel this way not because they're Satanists, but because of what's actually happening. They're Christian Zionists.
I was in a Baptist, just to show you how far this goes. I was in an independent fundamental Baptist church, and I heard a preacher get up in an independent fundamental Baptist. I was sitting in the auditorium, and he said, "I'm an American first, Christian second." I'm not kidding. He literally said, "American first, Christian second." And the auditorium got real quiet. You know, people are like, huh? And I'm thinking, like, he did not just say that. But I mean, that's the mentality of a lot of people, my friend. American first, Christian second. No, I'm Christian first and only, period.
See, these people are not our allies. All this talk about you're causing division. We need to work together and then we'll work it out. It's all bullshit, just trying to stop us because you're losing the debate. This guy sounds like Owen Schroyer. You hear that? Chastising people for being putting your nation before Jesus. These guys put Jesus first and only, and they're proud of it. And you're not a real Christian if they don't, actually. That's what Christians have to do. So these Christians out here online lying and saying, we're race first, but we're also Christian. E. Michael Jones is right. White nationalism and Christianity and Catholicism are incompatible. If you don't want to worship a Jew and you don't want to be universal and have all the goyim worshiping the God of the Jews together, you're not a Christian. You might as well just leave it behind.
You know, I mean, being an American is so much far below on my list of being a Christian. They shouldn't even be in the same list.
They put, you think this is based? Putting Jesus, putting the King of the Jews above your own people, your own family, your own nation. This guy's Bible pages stick together.
Okay. You say, well, you're just not patriotic. Okay, well, show me in the Bible where anything I just said is wrong. Okay, so national pride, this pride that says, I'm proud to be an American, and this is what they say. We're going to go over there, we're going to kick their butts. You know, this mentality, it's like it's a football game. We're going to show them. They're not going to, they're not going to say that about us. They're not going to do that. We're going to go over there and we're going to beat them. And they cheer for it and root for it like.
So you won't fight for your nation, but you'll fight for Jesus. You'll fight and kill your own people and go to war with your own people over different minor differences on interpretation of Hebrew fairy tales.
It's a game. People are dying. People are losing their lives. Innocent men, women, and children civilians are being killed. People are being wounded, both on the American side and even 10 times or 100 times more on the opposing side. And you're going to sit there and just cheer it on.
Jonga Wright has sent $30. Adam, drag ferryman's told to your show. He is now openly criticizing Christianity on Twitter Spaces. He just needs some encouragement. Having such a big nationalist account on our side would be a turning event. It will infect others to do so.
Yeah, I've been cool with the Diagolon guys for a while. Ferryman's followed me for a while. I saw him. I didn't see the original space he did talking about the Christians, but I saw a Christian trying to take him through a struggle session and berate him for criticizing Christianity and Christians. He says he has Christian fatigue. Yeah, we might have to do that. Not a bad idea. I thought about it.
And you're proud to be an American. Look, it's getting to where there's not as much to be proud of anymore.
Is this attitude going to help us save Western civilization? Is this, who care? Don't put your nation first, put Jesus first. Is that what's going to save America and European countries? No.
Check them out. All right, let's see her top 50. All right, Grandma's results are in. Let's check them out. All right, let's see her top 50 first of all. Number 1, Ashkenazi Jew.
I wonder if this is a joke.
I've seen number 1, Ashkenazi, so that is...
Really?
No.
Cool, yeah.
I mean, maybe 3 or 5 times.
So let me ask you this.
That is very rare.
So if Grandma's DNA had number 1 Ashkenazi, is there any doubt that she's an Ashkenazi Jew?
No.
And if she's my grandmother, what does that make me?
You're Jewish.
So I'm Jewish.
Ethnically, you are.
He's literally ethnically and spiritually Jewish.
You know, whether you, whatever you want to do with it.
And so everybody, all the Christians coping, they all love this guy who's literally Ashkenazi on his DNA test. And then they all lie. They're not all calling him Jewish. He's a Jewish psyop. He's promoting Jewish religions. No, they all cope and attack me and lie about me when I'm zero Ashkenazi. That's how fraudulent these people are.
So
I've
hold
now
on.
pronounced you Jewish.
All right, Grandma.
There it is. I didn't even know I had that. But here's another example now. Where is it? They're all telling you they're not America first. They're not their nation and their people first. They're Jesus first. They're putting a mythical Jewish superhero comic book character that's meant to conquer the Goyim. Paul literally says the Jesus is to reign over the Gentiles. We've showed you all the verses. It's all about enslaving, having dominion over, subjugating, ruling all of the Goyim of the world. And these guys are out here doing the bidding of Moshiachism.
America second, because it should.
Here's Stu Peters and his guest.
I am America first. I used to say America first, but I'm starting to say America second because it should be God first.
Yeah,
America second. And that's what America first is, right? So,
America first is actually God of Zion first. Didn't you know that, Goy? Yeah, we're America first, but actually we're Rabbi Yeshua and Yahweh God of Zion first.
I am America first. I used to say America first, but I'm starting to say America second because it should be God first.
Yeah,
America second. And that's what America first is, right? So, but I am America.
America first. Oh, you thought America first actually meant America first? No, it means your Jewish religion first. Fuentes, same thing.
From the founding fathers, the frame. You acknowledge that your point of view is fundamentally anti-American. From the founding fathers, the frame.
100%. Americanism is a heresy in the Catholic Church. You know.
Americanism is a heresy in the Catholic Church. No, the small hat wearing Pope, the multiculturalism, open borders, anti-Semitism Pope. He's not the problem. It's people that are actually America first. All of these guys chanting America first all the time when they're Jesus first. And they say they're Jesus first.
Know that if you do anything. But
Okay,
you get all,
the frame.
100%. Americanism is a heresy in the Catholic Church. You know that if you do anything. But
Okay,
you get
so
all
then why the
information
in
media
this country?
articles.
Why not go live in Rome or go live in the Catholic Vatican or go live in prehistoric wherever in the United States and try to change us into some theocratic regime when that's not fundamentally what the country is about? You acknowledge that your point of view is.
He talks like a fag too.
All right. Guys, let's get some power chats in here. Let's get us going. We're nowhere near the goal. Need your guys' support. Come on, you guys got something to say. Let's hear some of these voices. All you guys are so quiet, don't have anything to say, huh? Jewish books first, says See Through It All. All right. Conspiracy Truther shared this one. Follow Conspiracy Truther on Instagram. If you guys are on the gram right now, go follow Conspiracy Truther. He's posting a bunch of great clips and has a growing channel that's waking up a lot of people. Yeah, Televised Lies says, minority white as long as Jesus is venerated above all. Yeah. Christianity got us into this problem, and it's not going to get us out of it. All of these people pretending like they're America first or race first, they're lying, or they'll be kicked out of their churches. They're not being real Christians. Stop proposing that the solution to our problems is more of the problem. More of the problem is not going to fix the problem. Truther says, this is why I focus on Christianity so much. It's nothing but preconditioning and programming through fear-mongering rhetoric and fake prophecies. Priestcraft, mental alchemy, victimhood complex.
If you don't do
Oh, it's this guy again. We played a clip of this guy the other day. He was like crying, like, "Oh, you guys need to worship the Bible more. I cry for you."
If you don't do what we ask you to do, we're going to decapitate your wife. Because if you're not taking your faith seriously, what are you doing? If you're not taking your faith seriously, what's going to happen when real persecution comes?
This is the clip I played.
If I'm going to stay home, I don't feel like going to church. No. What's going to happen if you're thrown in prison and you can't go home? What happens if you're thrown in prison?
You're going to turn the other cheek and just sit there in prison and pray to the Lord. That's what you're going to do, right? Can't even take your diet seriously. Yeah. This is the masculine Christian men that everybody's flocking to.
They're whipping and scourging you and telling you, if you don't worship idols, we're going to kill you. Oh, and by the way, if they can't get through to you, let me drag your wife in front of you, and therefore, if you don't do what we ask you to do, we're going to decapitate your wife.
Well, hey, you're supposed to. Have you not read Revelation? Pay your tithes, or that guy will come out with you. I know. What is he trying to do here? He's like passing the collection plate around. He's like, they're going to rape your wife if you don't pay me more and worship Jesus harder. Like, what is this? Yeah, and it's right, see-through. It's an inversion. It's Christians who say worship Jesus or die.
Oh, and if that doesn't work, let's take your children too. I'm going to burn your children alive. I'm going to skewer them. I'm going to rake them with coals. I'm going to rake them with hot irons. You read the lives of the saints. It's no wonder why we put them on icons. It's a remembrance because most people do not want to read the lives of saints. People, sometimes it's easier to look at an icon. An icon is a vision of heaven. It's not to be worshipped. Remember, it's not at all to be worshipped. We worship only God alone. Only God alone. We worship. And we remember, and we go, and we ask for him to teach us.
How much of a loser do you have to be to go and listen to this guy every Sunday? In his ridiculous robe, in his big rabbi beard. He looks like he's trying to dress like a Pharisee. Oh yeah, here's some of the Ethereum in space where this Christian who has slandered me in the past, some lunatic Christian, says, he proudly admits, this is the Christian, want to know why there's so much slander and lies about me? Because the Christians think it's kosher to lie for Jesus. They can't address the arguments, the information, so what do? Make up a bunch of lies and slander, bad faith, Fed jacket, Jew jackets. And this guy just goes mask off and admits he doesn't care. He'll just make up lies about everybody. Hey, they're exposing Christianity's Jewish and Jesus is a Jewish myth. Oh, he'll lie and smear all of you.
That's what they've done. They have drawn a line in the sand that in order for you to be a white nationalist, you have to reject Jesus Christ.
No, it's you guys that drew the line in the sand saying you have to believe in Jesus or we're not part of your family.
As what sent $10 on Rumble. Adam, the movement you started seems to be gaining momentum. Greetings from Poland.
It does seem, I've been saying, like, it's a snowball effect. We are gaining momentum, but we're still have a long way to go. And I can't do it alone. And it's going to take other influencers, snowball effect, one by one. Because I know a lot of influencers out there already agree with us. They're just staying tight-lipped. They're biting their tongues. They're scared of losing support. But once they see more and more dominoes to fall, they'll feel a little bit safer. They'll push the envelope in the rhetoric against Christianity a little further. And then we might reach a tipping point. But as long as all the Abrahamic gatekeepers are protecting their echo chambers and blacklisting and running their defamation ops, it's going to be rough.
And at this point, I've welcomed the division now because it has given me the ability to just go out and have real
Optics Prime
conversations.
sent $5 on Rumble.
Thank you.
Fear-inducing mind control has worked on the religious sheep for centuries. No reason to deviate from that proven method.
Fear control, mind control, fear-based mind control, exactly. And false promises, the carrot and the stick, and manipulation.
I've welcomed the division now because it has given me the ability to just go out and have real conversations and say, nah, those people, they're not our guys. They're feds.
The Christian's idea of a real conversation is just making no argument, just baselessly calling everybody feds. That's what they do.
I'll fed jacket all those fuckers now. That's what they've done.
I'll fed jacket everybody. I'll call everybody a fed. Worship Jesus or we'll call you a Jew. Believe in magical Jewish prophecies or we'll call you a Jew and lie about you. Thanks for admitting that. Need More Amalek writes, we often hear Christians claim that Hollywood... Yeah, by the way, I see in the chat, there's going to be a space tonight. HT, who's recently come out very hard against Christianity, finally got the Christian question right, is having a space. They've been doing these spaces. There's gonna be a debate with some ortho bro. I don't think any legit, I shouldn't say legit, no like influential big name Christians are gonna show up. They cower in fear. They don't want the smoke. It's not that hard of a sell, though. What do we need people to know? Christianity is fake, it's myth, and it was started by Jews. Most people have no problem getting on board with that. Who's going to argue against that? If you're not a Christian, here's a good question, too, I thought about the other day. If we were to admit that Jesus never existed, or if we're to admit that most of the stories about Jesus in the Bible are myth, how is it not a lie? How is it not the greatest deception of all time? For the sake of argument, if Jesus is a mythical story, how is it not the biggest lie of all time? Look at what it's led to. How many people have deceived into believing a falsehood?
Father.
Oh, and so we often hear Christians claim that Hollywood, okay, here we go. Thank you, Anonymous.
$10 to them, I can say this. If you doubt me, you're divine creations. You just haven't passed a Jewish brother. It's divine. Every time that king comes over, I feel so full of the Spirit. Let's go. We're made for sucking by a delicious Jewish God. Amen.
Thank you, Anonymous. A little gross. That's funny, but it's funny. Alex Jones saying Adam King comes over. Alex Jones is like blackballed Adam King. He hasn't had Adam King on the show. When I first spotted Adam King was on Band.video, I was like, oh, here we go. He was hosting the 4th hour of, or he was hosting the War Room for Owen Schroyer. And I was like, oh, here we go. They got a new Kabbalist in here. But for one reason or another, Jones has not had Adam King ever on the show. Even with all this Jewish stuff going on. Even with these big debates he's done. It's interesting that he hasn't propped up Adam King more.
Now he chooses you as champion.
So this is a lie that there's nothing they hate more than Jesus. No, there's all these Netflix shows and movies about Jesus, churches on every corner, magazines at the checkout stand at the grocery, all the top politicians shilling Jesus, all of these Christians all over the YouTube and the internet going viral, promoting Jesus goy slop. They're not censored. No, they're boosted. So these e-crusaders are like, the Jews run the internet. Well, then why is all the Jesus stuff go so super viral all the time? Put it together. They have the new show David on Amazon Prime. King David, the Davidic Messiah. They've got the new Chosen show on Netflix and in movie theaters. They've got the new Mary Nativity series on Netflix, and now they also have Passion of the Christ on Netflix. But there's nothing they hate more than all the goyim believing in their chosen status and their prophecies.
Televised Lies sent $5 on Rumble.
Thank you.
Adam, will you be watching Andrew Wilson versus Apostate Prophet on Christian Zionism later?
Yeah, I said that at the beginning of the show. I want to watch it maybe on Big Tech Show, or we'll stream it over here. But yeah, I for sure want to try to watch that. I'm not sure what time it starts. I tried to look. I'm not sure where it's going to be streaming either. But yeah, we will try to find that. I hope you guys will all be there. Should be an interesting one. Thank you, Televised Lies. Let me know in the chat if you guys know where that's streaming and what time. That'll be helpful. All right, so here's the trailer for the new David. All the goyim, get ready for your Davidic king, your Davidic Messiah, the branch, the servant, the anointed one.
Can one stone change the course of history?
He looks like a white Aryan king, right, guys? Hollywood is pushing Abrahamic slop hard. And not only do they push the Abrahamic slop, but then they push from the other side, too, through fear. They push satanic stuff also. And then these Christians see it and they go, oh, it's so satanic, and they run to Jesus. So there's the push and the pull. Goliath.
Cowards! Send me your champion!
It reminds me of Owen Benjamin had a joke. He's like, the Bible is anti-giant propaganda. The Bible is anti-giant propaganda. The Nephilim giants, anti-giant. Goliath, anti-giant.
Goliath!
But a bunch of little midget Jews must have wrote this book. And they're hating on us height supremacists, on us giants.
Can one act of defiance create the legend?
By the way, it's interesting that King David conquers the giant representing the Gentile empire with the stone. And the Jews conquered Rome with the stone. Jesus is likened to the stone in many different ways. So the Jews conquered the Gentile empire with the stone. They can defeat the greater giant empire with a stone. How's that for some Kabbalah secrets?
I will tell you the story of David, a simple shepherd boy.
Why do my brothers get to fight? And I'm stuck here.
David, you are not a man of blood.
An outcast who became one of the most famous kings who ever lived.
God does not see what man sees.
He sees into the heart. And you have the heart of a lion.
Dude, they got a bunch on Netflix shows, by the way, streaming platforms, Jesus shows. There was one on Moses I saw recently. There's the Exodus movies.
Philistines have assembled.
No Hollywood movies exposing Jesus is fake. No big budget BBC, Netflix documentaries exposing that Jesus is a myth. No, just a whole lot of goy slop spoon-fed into you guys. Not to you guys, but into the sheep. Yeah, are they going to have an episode? Good one, Pee-poo. Are they going to have an episode where David steals 200 foreskins and traded them for the king's daughter? They should. That's the best King David story. The 200 foreskins.
I saw the print of a hand larger than a weaver's basket.
They have a giant. What?
My king, I will fight the giant. Fight him with the same spirit you bring into this room.
play music for my father. Now he chooses you as champion. How will you do this?
So Amazon, the same streaming platform that puts out Hunters, how this diverse cast of characters is hunting down all the secret Nazis everywhere. They're also shilling King David.
It's not about the greatness of the giant. It is about the greatness of God.
Are you afraid?
Terrified.
I believe in you.
So.
And then the Christians will always come up with some cope like, oh, they removed a verse from the beginning of Passion of the Christ. They hate Jesus so much. It's like they're playing the whole movie. Christians will find some cope, like in the Mary movie or the Mary series on Netflix. They're like, oh, they got a Jew to play Mary. It's like, who are they supposed to? She's Jewish. Oh, there's nothing they hate more. That's why they made a Jew be Mary. You mean like the story says? They're like, oh, they'll be so nitpicky and find some little thing to kvetch and act like this is anti-Christian. That's what they'll do.
As the fate of a people hangs in the balance, again I ask this question. Can one stone change the course of history?
Right, see through it all. Where is the Jesus is fake and Jewish movie? And I'm serious. Like, there's no huge documentaries about it. The evidence is so bad, you'd think it would be everywhere. If there really was nothing they hated more and they wanted to destroy, you think they would be all over it. Where are all the big Jewish influencers to have me on their shows and give me a big platform to talk about Jesus being fake and Jewish? They don't do it themselves. But where are all the Jews promoting Christianity? All over the place. Dennis Prager, Ben Shapiro, greatest allies. We want you to go to church. You're almost perfect Noahides. That's what they say.
We create a pretend world. We are.
The Mossad clip is relevant to this too. Like, they create the pretend world. They are the producers giving you, they're the script writers. They're the authors. They're the ones with the secrets. They're playing 4D chess against you. You're the dumb down sheep goyim falling for their tricks. You're playing your roles in the script they wrote for you, where you're cast as the villain and you will lose.
We create a pretend world. We are a global production company. We write the screenplay. We're the directors. We're the producers. We're the main actors. The world is our stage.
This is Mossad's old office. Its motto from Proverbs 24:6 says in so many words, wage war through deception and trickery.
We create.
So they wage war through deception and trickery, but no way Christianity and Jesus could be deception and trickery. Oh, they always set up controlled opposition. They're masters of controlled opposition. No way the religion that worships the King of the Jews and the God of Israel, no way that could be controlled opposition or a deception. These internet Christians are like, they lie about everything. They're deceivers. Meanwhile, they've fallen for the biggest lie and the greatest deception. It's embarrassing. They're the producers. They're producing the shows. They produce the scriptures. They're following the script. They got you to buy into it. But hey, Goy, at least you get to be in the movie.
With regard, in Judaism, there's a concept with regard to the faith of the nations. The goal of the people of Israel is to spread knowledge of God to all the peoples of the earth. The goal is not to make everyone Jewish. We're called a kingdom of priests.
Right.
And that means that there has to be a flock. If we're the priests, there's got to be a flock. And the flock is the world.
The idea in Judaism is that God, it's almost like a priestly caste. God chose this specific group of people to
be a light unto the nations by demonstrating what a godly lifestyle looks like. God identifies a nation that he treasures as his own, and he has a special relationship with that nation.
According to Judaism, our goal for the world is that everyone have faith in the God of Israel. If they also have faith in...
See, that's the goal of Judaism. Owen Schroyer. They want you to believe that you were created by God according to Genesis. They're not covering it up and lying to you with evolution. They're trying to cover up evolution and get you to believe in the magical creation story from the Bible.
If they also believe about the God of Israel that he incarnated himself in a human body, that may not be what God wants from his priestly class.
Yeah, that's right, see through it all. They don't proselytize, though. They want everybody to worship their God, but they don't proselytize.
If they also believe about the God of Israel that he incarnated himself in a human body, that may not be what God wants from his priestly class, but it may be perfectly fine for the nations of the world if that's their way into believing in it.
To me, I think the Jews are the stars of the film. Okay? The Jews are coming back to Israel. That's us, not them. They believe.
And every Christian plays into this idea that the Jews are the stars. They were the chosen people. Oh, but they're not chosen anymore. But you think they were. There's no other. They were still and always the first chosen people, according to Christians even. And even in Christianity, they're central to the story. They're the central villain/heroes that rejected Jesus and gave and led to the creation of Christianity, according to God's plan, if you believe it. They're central, supernatural, God-slaying villains. But they're still central.
Believe in the holiness of the process, but they can only be supporting actors. They have no other role. But if we allow them to be supporting actors, wow, at least they're in the movie.
At least you're in the movie, Goy. You're supporting actors.
Help me, Jesus! Help me, Jewish God!
So when we say we're looking forward to a redemption, you and I may have different visions of what that redemption may look like.
You should actually look at the truth and understand that the Jewish people are the greatest gift to mankind. Instead of hating the Jewish people, you should love us. You should kiss our feet, you fool. We're the chosen people, not you.
You know, the biggest thanks that we owe is by being Jews. When you get up in the morning and you find out, I am a Jew, you should give a nice dance before you go to
Hey, what's up, Aseric?
Aseric_media sent $10 on Rumble. Christians have the same victim complex as the Jews. They'll claim to be the victims, whilst talking about how they're so powerful. Have you taken a deep dive into the fake Christian martyr stories?
I haven't done a whole show about the fake martyr, but I have addressed it many times. I know there's a popular book written by, I think her name is Candida Moss. It's like The Myth of Persecution. And I have heard, I think, a Carrier presentation or interview on it as well. A bunch of made-up stories. They go, oh, all of the disciples were murdered and tortured. Like, those are all way later traditions and not even in the Bible. They're exaggerations, they're lore, they're legends. All religions have martyrdom stories because it's powerful. Oh, they died for their beliefs. It must be true. Such strong faith. And I know in the Darkening Age, she has a chapter, I think that's where it is. There's a chapter about how martyrdom in Christianity was so popular that people would like literally be bending over backwards trying to be martyred, trying to die and go to heaven, trying to die to advance their cause of their cult. So yeah, thank you, Aseric. Good to see you here, man. Thanks for joining the panel last night as well.
Work. Because you have no idea how lucky we are that we are Jews. Because the world is going crazy with jealousy about this. It is all.
Oh, you know what else, Aseric, about the fake martyrdom stories is that we know from Pliny the Younger that he didn't even barely know what Christians were. There was no laws against Christians. Also, I believe the Tacitus telling of Nero blaming the Christians, that also didn't happen. I don't believe that. I think he made that up because he was anti-Nero. And there's good reason to think that, by the way, much more. But the fake martyr stories. Yeah, Christians weren't persecuted by Rome, especially in the beginning. Later on in time, there was some persecution, but they're nowhere near as widespread and systemic as Christians claim. Some Christians were not persecuted, they were prosecuted for violating other laws like unlawful assembly or not offering sacrifices to the god of Rome, stuff like that. Stuff that was just illegal, not that Christianity was illegal. And as soon as Constantine adopted Christianity and later Theodosius made it the state religion, paganism was outlawed by punishment of death. So talk about martyrdom. Who are the real victims here? And Rome was right to, I wish Rome would have persecuted the Christians harder, then maybe it wouldn't have spread and the Jewish cult wouldn't have taken over Rome as it was intended to. They had every right to prosecute Christians who were trying to subvert Rome with this Jewish theological warfare. I can see why they fed them to these lying Christians to the lions, spreading their spiritual Judaism. And I think a lot of that, I think they did feed some to the lions, but it's greatly exaggerated. Asyric media says 100%. Did I pretty much hit it all?
Only logical and most natural to love the Jew. The Jews should be beloved everywhere. I'm telling you, Jews should be beloved everywhere. Wherever you go to China, you know what should be? The Chinese should say, oh my God, this is a Jew.
The Christian.
Let's bow.
That's funny. Let's bow. Where are we at on time? Oh, yeah, we got to get to the Charlie Kirk stuff. Here, we want to play this. BBC attacking white people. Here's the BBC Youth Channel. Eleanor of Aquitaine was a... Why does BBC have it this white queen as a large black woman? So this is what she actually looked like. Long, flowing blonde hair, pale skin. Here's BBC's depiction.
Eleanor of Aquitaine, my name's Queen Eleanor of Aquitaine.
Aquitaine.
Sons they all want to reign, my name's Queen Eleanor of Aquitaine. Oh, 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 no, no. Oh, 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 oh. I guess John was lying, saying Richard had died. Traveled to Austria to be by his side, to set him.
This is what they're always doing to white history.
Put a chicken in, make her name it gay. It means put a chicken and make her fucking gay.
That's the Jews in the boardroom at the BBC. They're like, how can we spit on and trash and humiliate white history?
Put a chicken in, make her name it gay. Free, I paid for his release, brought him all the way home, said this fighting must cease. Made my boys promise.
Yeah, at least she's got blonde hair, right? Yeah.
Always be friends, gave Richard his crown back to his peaceful end. Then I supported my youngest King John. Tell you ain't no job harder than being a mom. Oh, 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 no, no. Eleanor of Aquitaine, my name's...
So disrespectful. Do blacks even like doing this? Do you like being used as pawn to do this? Do you get off on this type of thing? Okay, now let's get into the Charlie Kirk thing. First, this Orthodox Christian account that's been lying and calling me Jewish because he can't address anything I say. Coping hard. Worship my Jewish God or you're a Jew. He shares this. We're getting in the Charlie Kirk clips. Charlie Kirk admits to keeping the Talmudic Sabbath. What the fuck is a Talmudic Sabbath? You mean the Torah Sabbath? There's no such thing as a Talmudic Sabbath. It's the Torah Sabbath. Jesus and his first followers kept the Sabbath. He had some pilpul Pharisaic thing about being able to do stuff on the Sabbath, but still, that's because they observe the Sabbath. Otherwise, they wouldn't be addressing it. You don't have to come up with copes to be able to do something on the Sabbath if that is not the Sabbath law that you're following. Talmudic Sabbath. What a joke.
Friday night to Saturday night Sabbath.
But also so cucked that he's keeping the Sabbath at all.
I don't work on the Sabbath, but I work on Sunday. I take the Friday night to Saturday night Sabbath. But I don't work on the Sabbath, but I work on Sunday. I take the Friday night to Saturday.
So you work on the Lord's Day, but you rest on the Jewish holiday? Okay, that's pretty kosher. Pretty Christian of you.
Sabbath. But I don't work on the Sabbath, but
yeah, and the first Christians didn't just, Jesus, according to the Bible, didn't just circumcise and have fights over if Gentiles had to keep kosher, eat kosher food or not. They also celebrated Passover and Hanukkah and the Jewish holidays and the Sabbath.
What religion was Jesus? What did he believe?
So here's just a bunch of clips of Charlie Kirk dunking on e-Crusader Christians that are in way over their head and don't have what it takes with their anti-Semitic Christianity to defeat the king, Charlie Kirk. The king, Yeshua HaMashiach.
What was Jesus? What did he believe? Well, obviously he's Jew. Where was Jesus born?
Dude, look at the face. What was Jesus? Hey, Jesus was Jewish, right? Look at this guy. He's like, he like goes into a convulsion. He starts to like trip out. Starts glitching.
Well, obviously he's Jew. Where was Jesus?
Obviously, you guys are worshiping a Jew. Dude, in the chat on Odysee, stop complaining about not being able to say the K word. Don't say the K word in my chat or on my show. And if you have a problem with that, leave. He says, I don't even know if that's like a blocked word or something on Odysee. Apparently you're mad that you can't be saying a bunch of slurs.
Zionist Cuck sent $5 on Rumble. Stop coping for your non-Jewish gods, pagans.
Some guy in the chat's like, I can't say the K word in here. That's sus. That's sus. You're sus coming in here trying to make hurt me by association by talking like that. So go cry somewhere else.
Is born. Why does that matter? Born in Bethlehem. Okay. And so
thank you, Zionist Cut.
Nazareth, and he walked on the water in Capernaum. What country are those places in right now? What does it matter? It does matter. You know why? Because when I went to Israel, I came in contact with the living God that walked on water and rose Lazarus from the dead. When I went to Israel,
And that's proof. I saw the Jordan River, so that means Jesus is real and really was baptized there. I saw where Jesus supposedly walked. That means that he walked on water. Like, come on. Worst argument ever. And the Christian can't say anything because he believes all of them too.
Israel. I saw the Bible come to life. When I went to Israel, I saw Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Sarah, Rebecca, and Leah in the Hall of the Patriarchs. When I went to Israel, what I read as Bible stories popped open, and I said, this is the Word of God. This is real. These are not fairy tales or fables or things that we tell our kids.
Yeah, they are. It's not a fairy tale. I went there. Hey, I went to New York. That means that Spider-Man is real. He really flew around the city with his webs because I went there and it's a real place.
When I went to Israel, I was able to cry where Jesus cried.
Gay. You really went and cried? You went in the Garden of Gethsemane and you went, Jesus died for me and saved my sins. Gay. Hold on. What makes you think any of this is real, Charlie?
I read about it in a book.
Oh, was that it?
Fables or things that we tell our kids. When I went to Israel, I was able to cry where Jesus cried. Where he was betrayed.
Talks like a fag, too.
By Judas and arrested. Where he rose from the dead and gives us eternal life. I am not an apologist for Israel, but I reject wholeheartedly this narrative.
Yeah, these Christians that want to be like, oh, Israel is your holy land. You're European, but your holy land is in the desert in the Middle East. Jesus is to return on the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem. Jesus impressed the rabbis in the Jewish synagogue. It's all centered around the Jewish land. You want to be the new Israel.
Christians who turn their back on Israel, it says in Genesis and Romans and 1 Thessalonians, Paul said, you will bless the Jews. If you bless Israel, you will be blessed. If you scorn...
Dude, and then they lie. It doesn't say you will bless the Jews. It says you will bless the descendants of Abraham, which, with a little bit of logic, the only known descendants of Abraham would be the Judeans. That's why they say it's the Jews. But this is not exactly honest. It doesn't say you will bless the Jews and be blessed.
In Genesis and Romans and 1 Thessalonians, Paul said you will bless the Jews. If you bless Israel, you will be blessed. If you scorn Israel...
Paul says you will bless the Jews. Yeah, he does say that. And he says, do not boast against them because they're the root and you're the branch.
You will be scorned. There is a diabolical satanic agenda every single day to try and delegitimize the scriptures. And I will defend the Holy Land, the place that let me see...
You delegitimize those Jewish scriptures and you are satanic.
Where my Lord and Savior lived, and I will not apologize for that.
And look at that. You're out of here. Good job, E-Crusader. You're out of here. Handing Charlie Kirk easy W's to standing ovations. All right, there's one. 18,000 likes, by the way. Good luck getting mogged by all the real Christians.
Any part of the Bible you think is true? Is there any part of the Bible you think is true?
Well,
no, it's
true.
An important question,
well,
meaning like when they were documenting King David, like
yes.
Was King David a real figure?
There are shards of it that are, I'm sure.
So Jesus was a real person?
Well, that we don't know. That is not a definitive.
Okay.
Nice. Really, good job, Bill.
Is not.
Like take Paul. We both agree Paul was legit and a real person. Paul was a Jew, persecuted Jews, and then had his, road to Damascus moment. Why would he do that? Except for the fact that he's crazy or like...
Dude, why has Bill Maher never had on Richard Carrier to expose Jesus is not real? If he's open to the idea, why has that not happened? Or Robert Price? I would like to see that.
What incentive would Paul have to do that? Rich, ruling class, gave up everything.
You're saying
he thought he was chosen in the womb to spread Messianic Judaism to the Gentiles to fulfill prophecy. That's what motivated Paul. If he gets saying he was sincere, he's still advancing the Messianic prophetic conspiracy. He's still influenced by the prophecies and the prophecy agenda.
To me, is there never a case of human delusion? Or mass delusion.
Yeah, or he was...
People can...
There's suicide cults, of course there are. No,
or he was schizo, and he's like, I'm seeing Jesus in the scriptures, man. I saw him right there. You connect Daniel and Isaiah and Zechariah and this verse and that verse. It's all secretly about Jesus, man. He's like an ancient... We see this all the time today, too. People claim they know Jesus. They met Jesus. They dreamed of Jesus. They walk with Jesus. Christians do that today. They're chanting, Christ is king. Where is he? He's invisible. They would do the same thing back then. The people who do it today, they for sure would have and did do it back then. Also, Bible coders. Just like today, all these Christians are always reinterpreting prophecies in Scripture for their current time, their current circumstances, reinterpreting them, changing them up, rewriting them, saying they're about new contexts, and people doing Bible codes. Searching for hidden mysteries in the Bible, secret messages, God's hidden revelations of mysteries and secrets of their hidden by God about their redemption and their Messiah and the Messianic age. Bible coders connecting different things in gematria and saying this means that. That's what Paul was doing. That's what the first Christians were doing. Mystical, midrashic, mythical Jesus believers. Angel, celestial, heavenly Jesus believers.
I acknowledge that.
The human capacity to believe what's not true, to believe what you want to believe, is infinite. I mean, you are literally the person I'm talking about at the very beginning of the movie Religulous, because the very first scene, I'm sitting in the car and I'm saying, the movie is not a spiritual quest. I mean, that's what we told them, so they'd sign the release. The movie is me saying, I don't know how it could be that so many intelligent people can wall off a part of their mind and believe in something that part of their mind must know is not true.
Yeah, it's
That's
so
the
stupid.
question I'm going for in religion. And like, you're obviously a super smart guy.
And respectfully, you go ahead, sure. Yeah.
And again, I don't want to insult you on that. And I appreciate you saying
that. No, I mean, Bill, have you seen me go to college campuses? There's nothing that
right,
can
but you understand my question, right?
Interestingly, ironically, I have the same struggle. I don't know how somebody as intelligent as you, and I'm not trying to offend you,
cannot believe in a virgin birth.
Time out. Hold on. All of that takes faith, I acknowledge, but that all of the fine tuning of our universe, if any of those fine tunings were off, a famous scientist.
Some of them are off.
Yeah, it's off everywhere. Everywhere where there's not life, it's off. As far as we know, I don't think there's only life on Earth. I think there's life elsewhere in the universe. Not that I believe in aliens have visited here. I don't think that. But the fine-tuning argument is so nonsense. It's like, okay, we're on a little tiny speck of dust in like a vast, possibly infinite universe. Even on our planet, most of the planet is inhospitable to humans. That's fine-tuning. Most of the species that ever lived went extinct, or like 99, isn't it like 99% of every species that's ever existed has gone extinct? That's fine-tuning. Fine-tuning of the universe, intelligent design, and without modern medicine, a high percentage of all mothers or babies die in childbirth. Fine-tuning, like most of the earth is unhospitable to life. Hey, if God fine-tuned the earth, how come people are having droughts? Why is most of the water on Earth undrinkable? Everywhere else in the universe, we leave. It's all so fine-tuned. That's why there's infinite stars and other suns and planets in the sky. Is all of that fine-tuned also for life? Fine-tuned for what? It ain't fine-tuned for us. Like, say Earth is 1 in a trillion planets has life. Is that fine-tuning? 1 in a trillion? Or is that just what you would expect in a naturalistic view of the world? There are 100 trillion galaxies in the universe. And as far as we know, there's life on 1 of them. That's finely tuned?
Famous scientist said, to believe that the universe and the earth in its current composition was an act of randomness would believe that a hurricane would go through a junkyard and assemble a 737 flight-ready Boeing.
He's wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. But there are so many fine-tuning aspects to our existence that I think...
Again, it's not fine-tuning. If you understand evolution, that's like saying, why did God fine-tune that river to be at the bottom of that canyon? What's that river carving through? Why are there huge canyon walls all around that river? Oh, it must have been fine-tuned that way. No, the river carved the walls. If in evolution, if you're not natural selection, if you don't successfully reproduce, you die out and you're gone. So only the things that do successfully reproduce are here. Through billions of years or hundreds of millions of years. That's not fine-tuned. We're fine-tuned by natural selection and adapting to our environments. That's where the fine-tuning comes from.
Defy the idea that this is all randomness and all chance. Now,
you know that's not logical. You're saying...
And evolution is random on one level, but it's not completely random. There's a natural selection process that's not random. It's fitting, or it's a little bit random, but it's fitting to the environment. Whatever helps you reproduce more, reproduces more, and carries on. That's why when people ask what's the meaning of life, at the most basic fundamental level, the meaning of life is just to reproduce. The only way to measure success of an organism is passing on its genetics in an effective way that can also pass on again.
Because I don't know the answer, I'm going to assume the answer must be that
if Earth wasn't in the perfect spot in the Goldilocks zone and there wasn't other planets blocking asteroids coming in and hitting us, and if we're too far away, it's too cold for life, we're too close, it's too hot for life. God didn't finely tune us. If we didn't have the moon giving us the cycles, if we didn't have the ocean, if we didn't have, there's a whole lot of factors that have to come in order to have life. But if any of those factors weren't there, we wouldn't be here. But if there's trillions and trillions of rolling of the dice, it's like saying if somebody wins the lottery, God fine-tuned them to win the lottery. No. If billions of people buy lottery tickets, chances are, even if the chances are 1 in a trillion of winning the lottery, if there's a trillion tickets sold, you can expect one of those tickets to be fine-tuned to match and win the lottery.
John Derry, I'm sent $5, Adam. I'm an engineer and scientist. Evolution and natural selection are self-evident. Intelligent design is delusional wishful thinking. Great stream.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, a lot of evolution talk today, huh?
A divine intervention did it. That's not really a scientific way of looking at it.
The teleological view, not the cosmological view, is that all of these fine-tunings, when layered up one after the other, it defies...
If there's trillions of galaxies and trillions of planets, some of them are going to have all the perfect ingredients where life can occur. Doesn't mean that they were fine-tuned by God. If it was fine-tuned, it would be all the planets. And what's the point of God creating, if it's all for us and Earth, what's the point of creating the trillions of other galaxies? So we have a pretty sky to look at? God can't save children dying of cancer. He can't solve poverty and natural disasters and floods and droughts and hurricanes and starvation, disease. He can't fix all of that, but he had plenty of time to create the trillions of other planets and stars and galaxies. Please.
I think reason to think that this is just a roll of the dice. That when you see a baby come into the world, when you see how we naturally heal, even consciousness itself, I think is a pretty miraculous thing. To think that's all just a bunch of happy accidents.
But I
think it's more rational to think.
What's more rational? A bunch of natural, explainable, minor mutations, incrementally building up on each other, building blocks. The ones that don't work, they fall away. The ones that do work, the little changes that help you reproduce more, build upon each other. That's the way in which it's not totally random. What's more likely, that? No magic explanation? Or, well, the Jewish God, according to the Jewish Bible, just snapped his fingers and said abracadabra, and Adam was molded from clay. What's more likely?
I think that's a byproduct of design.
You're saying some prime mover made it so these things happen. I would say if a prime mover could do that, why don't skip all the suffering and why don't you just get us to where we're the perfect thing? Why you need things, I don't know, but okay, the perfect being right away.
And if for the universe to exist, okay.
Brady West sent $5 on Rumble. Please no more Jews on the show.
Come on, people like the content. You want to just only talk about people we agree with all the time? You want us to talk about Jewish stuff all the time and never talk to a Jew, never debate a Jew, never call a Jew out, never ask them hard questions? Are you running the show or am I? Have you ever done a podcast? Have you ever created content? If you don't want to watch, then don't watch. Jeez, these people are so annoying. Saying this stupid stuff.
We're somehow on this journey to being, completely immortal and healthy, I guess, and completely moral and don't fuck each other up and don't have sex with children and all the bad things
all
we
the
do.
evil of our world.
Yeah,
right?
all the evil and the Holocaust. And why go through all that if you are a prime mover? I assume that means you can do anything, and just get us right to the end, and then we can just, what? Why? Just a bunch of us walking around being perfect? I mean, why is that interesting to a God? The whole thing just don't make sense.
And to say, like, to have to create a God is like a non-answer. How do we exist? What are we doing here? What's the meaning of life? Where do we come from? Where do we go? You could just say, well, God did it. The Jews told us God did it. It's like a non-answer. You're not trying to actually solve the question. And it's an answer that causes even more questions. It doesn't solve anything, because then you guys say, if the universe needs a God to create it, why does God not need a God to create it? You're creating a rule for the universe that it needs a creator, but then you're saying, breaking that rule, saying the creator doesn't need to be created. You're actually making a whole nother, more complex question. If God could just exist forever, then why not just the universe forever?
So that's a separate question, though, of whether or not there is something behind our existence. I mean, so we believe that the universe started with a big bang. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, but that's not the beginning of things. That's just the beginning of what the known universe is. The big question is what was before that.
And we believe it's
infinite
Dominic
universes.
sent $5. Adam, Tim Pool wants his beanie back.
I'm not wearing a beanie. Hey, guys, what's up? Hey. Hey, fellow students. Thanks. His beanie back. Dude, I need a haircut or something. I'm having wild hair day. I wake up and it just looks like, that's why the hat's on. Sorry. Okay.
It's a being, a God. That's
right.
That's always, that's a constant.
And look, I mean, the misnomer about atheism.
You think everything came from nothing? No, that sounds ridiculous and retarded. I don't think that. I think it's infinite. I can't imagine a beginning or an end. I think it's always existed. Infinite universe, infinite dimensions, fractal universe, I don't know.
Theism is that
that's why I'm agnostic.
We say, oh, there's no God. No, we just say we don't know. As Richard Dawkins always says, there's theism, which is belief in gods, and they used to believe in many, and then it got to one, and we just believe in one less. So there's just not.
How would you differentiate that from agnosticism?
There isn't.
Okay.
That's another thing that's bullshit.
No, I don't. I'm just asking a good faith question.
No, I think a lot of atheists think that. A lot of people on my team with this, they have that view that, don't split hairs with the atheists and the agnostics. It's like, we're on some part of, I don't know, and I'll never know, so I really don't think about it a lot. I don't get up for church. I try to be a good person because I just think intrinsically it's good for society. It's good for me to be a good person as much as I can. And I don't need the threat of the pitchfork in the ass to do it.
Can I ask a question? So how But you even acknowledge, though, that some people act better if they feel as if they'll be judged eternally.
Totally.
Okay,
sure.
No, that's a big admission. But
yes.
How do you think society best determines what is good?
Here we go. Ortho bro argument.
Isn't that what government is always wrestling with? What makes society good?
Do you think, even as an atheist, the Ten Commandments, the right side of the Ten Commandments is a good place to start?
The right side.
Well, because the left side, I think you'd have a big problem.
Yeah.
I have a problem with 8 of the 10 because only 2 of them are laws.
You got a problem with 8 of the 10?
2 of them are laws. Only 2.
What do you mean?
Don't kill.
And don't steal. Okay.
And don't steal.
Sure.
This idea that God is this.
But you're good with those 2.
Like
obviously.
the first 4 are just jealous God shit. It's just like, you know what?
No,
God,
honoring your parents is not jealous God stuff.
God's like a pimp who was in the next room and he said, who you on the phone with there, girl?
But I mean,
I guess I'm testing that.
Hold on, but no, it's again, I'm not offendable on this, but I think you could. I know you made fun of it in Religulous, but there's something beautiful about not working for a day.
Oh.
Come on.
Honoring the Sabbath.
Keep the Sabbath.
A week is even better. The Sabbath.
A week is even better.
The Sabbath
But
is
slowing down and saying that
he thinks it's beautiful. It's beautiful to stone somebody that picks up sticks on the Sabbath. That's what it says in the Bible. It's beautiful.
We're not going to toil for a day.
But do you need? Why would you need a religion to get to that?
It's not beautiful. Who was it? Adam King told me. What did I say? I'm like, you can't even like read. You can't clean your house. You can't flip on a light switch. You can't do anything on the Sabbath. It's annoying. Although Jews like it, they still think it's cool. It's hard. It's a hardship. It causes unnecessary problems. But he's like, it's beautiful.
Would you need a religion to? Hey, let's not kill each other and take a day off. Like I don't need a threat or a carrot for that. It's just so intrinsic. It sort of reminds me of the beginning of the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, be good for the sake of being good, not because you're scared of punishment or you want a reward. Exactly. Charlie, oh wait, hold on. Were we done? Yeah, that was the end of it. Charlie, we watched this one. Where did I watch this? I watched this with you guys, right? Or with Big Tech? Maybe I covered this one. We'll skip that one and do this one.
I'm pretty sure how's it going, Mr. Kirk? I'm a big fan of yours, and I just had a few things I wanted to question you about. I'm pretty sure, based off the content that you've produced, that you're evangelical Christian and you subscribe to dispensationalism. Is that correct?
Not necessarily, no. I'm very sympathetic towards the dispensationalist view. So let me just pause you. This is going to go over a lot of people's head. Okay. So if it's okay, let's keep this short, if that's okay, because this is a very wonky theological topic. But yes.
Well, that's not so
it probably to do with Israel, maybe. Is that Israel. Okay? Got it. Yeah. Okay.
So
how did I know?
That's the only thing.
Can I explain what dispensationalism is to the audience?
Go ahead.
Okay, so dispensationalism is a view in evangelical world, of which I'm very sympathetic towards, that God has an unfolding plan for the end times. Dispensationalism is typically what is called pre-trib, pre-millennial, which means that there is a rapture, meaning that God will bring home his faithful in a pre-tribulation, pre-millennialist, before the reign of Christ 1,000 years over earth, to heaven before the 7 years of trial and difficulty. Did I do a good job summarizing dispensationalism?
That would be correct. Okay. I personally subscribe to covenant theology, and I wanted to read you some verses from the New Testament and just get your opinion on those.
We got to go quick. This is going to go over a lot of people's heads.
Romans 2:28, it says, "For he is not a Jew, which is one who is outwardly, but he is a Jew which one." Which is
Right. So this is Paul writing in the book of Romans. Romans basically is the believer's constitution. You're right.
Circumcision of the heart.
Basically, yes, exactly. So
it says that we could be Jews, and are we circumcise our heart wieners? Dude, this is so unserious.
Here's the debate, and then I'll just let you ask one final question.
What is wrong with
everybody
us?
In Christianity. And
this is our discourse in the year 2025. This is our discourse. We're the new Israel, and we have circumcised hearts.
Catholicism is very clear. The question is, when Israel is mentioned, is it the metaphorical Israel or is it the literal Israel? And so part of Christianity, mostly Catholicism, who I have great respect for, my wife was baptized Catholic, they would say that Israel becomes the church in the New Testament.
I would say most Reformed as well.
Yeah, Reformed Baptist, 5-point Calvinists, some of
Presbyterians.
Sure, but let me just finish, okay?
Go ahead.
Whereas more the view I'm sympathetic towards is that the scriptures are very prophetic towards a literal and direct meaning, and that the nation and the reconstitution of the nation of Israel actually has a place in God's plan for us on this planet. It's not a metaphorical, it's a literal playing out of God's plan. Yes, and final point, yes.
My response.
Programmabilities. Are they really saying that on Twitter? I want to see that. Jews are saying online that I'm mad that... Yeah, are they really saying that? I would like to see that. I haven't seen that.
So that would be that there are pretty much the entire New Testament, verse after verse, that goes against that position. Matthew 3:9, for example, Romans 9:6, Matthew 21:43, Revelations 2:9, Revelations 3:9, Galatians 3:28.
Oh my
John
God.
8:39, Ephesians, it's all over the place.
Right, and there are equally as many verses that could be on the other side. That's why I'm not a theologian. I just know what everyone believes, and I tilt towards one way or the other. I'm not here to prove you wrong on that, despite what the sign says, because I says if you still take Jesus as Lord, then you and I are going to see each other in heaven. Here's my whole opinion on the end times, everybody.
As what sent $5 on Rumble.
As what?
But if we acknowledge that synchronicity exists, then evolution ceases to be blind.
Yeah. I don't know that synchronicity exists, though. Like, I remember part of my deconverting to Christianity was watching The Blind Watchmaker. And that was a book and a documentary by Richard Dawkins, The Blind Watchmaker, where he responds to the Christian creationist claim that the first cell or an organism would be like a hurricane hitting it, and then all the sand on the beach or all the trash on the beach makes a watch. And he shows you how that's not true and how evolution can, like I explained earlier, incremental, small building blocks building upon each other for what works, and what doesn't work goes extinct.
Pre-trib, post-trib, I'm pan-trib. It's all going to pan out on the end, okay? I'm not on the planning committee. I'm on the welcome committee of Christ's return, okay? Well, and I think in that way, it's not the most important thing to be discussing.
Can I continue just a little bit? The reason I wanted to bring all those up is because it's mainly goes to your support of Israel. I feel like that if you take that theology away, that cuts that from the knee. And I also wanted to read some verses from the Talmud.
You got to be okay. So that's fine. I do want to wrap this up. However, can you tell me what the Talmud is?
It's it's like the most important book in rabbinic Judaism.
Yeah, so not totally true. So the Torah is the most
not totally
important,
true.
followed by the Tanakh. Tanakh stands for Torah, Nivalim, right, and Kvetchim, which is the Torah, the writings, and the prophets.
Kvetchim? It's literally called the Kvetchim. Their Tanakh is Kvetchim.
NK, that's where you get Tanakh from. And then after the Tanakh comes the Talmud. Now, how many Talmuds are there?
Talmuds.
There's two. There's
two.
The Babylonian and the Jerusalem Talmud. Now, for every verse that you're about to read from the Talmud, and I'll give you a chance to do it, it's probably going to be about, Christ burning in a thing of excrement. There are debates with rabbis in the following verses of them disagreeing. The Talmud is basically a bunch of
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. There's not a rabbi disagreeing with that after that passage.
For 2,000 pages. So it is.
Some of the other quotes is rabbis like doing hypotheticals to try to figure out what the Torah law should be. But that verse doesn't have a rabbi. As far as what I remember, does not have a rabbi saying, no, he's not. He's in heaven or something like that. But the context of the Talmud, the context of that verse, though, it says Jesus was a Jewish sinner and sought the well-being of the Jews. They leave that part out.
Is not necessarily considered to be canonical or authoritative. So I do want to make sure that is clear, but go ahead, tell it, and then we'll wrap it up. There's a lot of talk about what's happening in Israel right now. Hostages being released, terrorists resurfacing, Gaza plans, and so on. But there's one thing we tend to overlook: the people of Israel. The war has taken a huge physical and emotional toll on the Jewish people. And that's why I want you to know about the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews.
Oh, my God.
I want you to support.
He cuts to a commercial after that.
Work they do.
He's like, watch me dunk on this dumb Christian, and now let's raise money for Christians and Jews.
IFCJ is on the ground throughout Israel, providing food and life-saving aid to the sick and elderly, even released hostages and their families. Join with me and visit ifcj.org/learn more.
So Sota 4713 refers to Jesus as being a fornicator. Gittin 56 refers to Jesus burning in hell. And Shabbat 104b says that Mary was a Baba Messiah 24a reads that if a Jew finds an object that a Gentile goy has lost, it does not have to return it. Yebamath 98a says all children of Goyim are animals. Tuspoth Jebamiah 84b says if you eat with a goy, it is the same as eating with a dog. Baba Messiah 114b says Gentiles, goys, are not humans, they are beasts.
All of which are legitimate verses, but as I mentioned, that is not a canonical part of what is considered to be divinely inspired Judaism. Here's my opinion. We'll just disagree. I believe that Paul said in the New Testament, we must bless the Jews.
I believe that our own Lord and Savior, when we go up and we see the Lord of Lords and the King of Kings, we're going to see a rabbinic rabbi by the name of Jesus Christ sitting on the throne.
I feel like that's a severe category error.
He was a Torah observant, Shabbos observant Jew. Here's the thing. We just have difference of opinion. I think we have an obligation to the Jews as Christians. You might disagree. We can disagree. Thank you for your time. I got to get to the next question. Thank you.
This Jew says, Charlie Kirk shuts down a young groyper who spent too much time watching Candace Owens. 1 million views, 4.2 thousand likes.
How's it going, Miss Kirk? I'm a
This is how the Christian opposition plays out in the real world. If only people would start listening. You're not going to win. You can't even win over the Christians, let alone non-believers with these talking points. Thank you, Edom.
$5. Can you imagine the hysterics when Christ clowns like Kirk get the rug pulled? It is scary.
He ain't going to get the rug pulled. He's a millionaire. He's a millionaire celebrity. How's his rug going to be pulled? What do you mean? He's going to have a share in the world to come for being a good Shabbos goy. What do you, he's not going to get rug pulled. These groypers are. The Christian controlled op talking points is what's going to get rug pulled. I tried to tell them, says the namesake. I tried to warn them. Here's another one. Kirk goes full Zio. Kirk claims the media isn't favorable to Israel. Okay.
Student that is getting their visa removed.
Looking at this fair, I want you to be honest. Right. Do you think Israel gets favorable or unfavorable media treatment?
Favorable.
Very favorable, especially with the recent past. If you look at, there's a student that is getting their visa removed for supporting Palestine, and she's going to be deported, even though she's in here on a visa. Look it up.
The media is totally against that. You said Israel is an enemy. Define what an enemy is.
They don't favor us, and we give them unfair treatment. Epstein he was a Mossad agent, and he was compromising our politicians to do things for Israel that Americans do not.
We don't know for certain, but you might be right. The evidence suggests.
We know that he was.
At least he says you might be right.
No, we don't.
His father.
Okay, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, not his father, okay, you got to get your facts right, was Robert Maxwell, who owned a newspaper and was part of Israeli intelligence. Right. There's evidence to suggest it. And by the way, he very well just as equally could have been a Saudi agent, okay?
Just as likely? Come on, not just as likely. But I consider this fair. Like, okay, we don't know 100% for sure. It's not 100% verifiable, confirmed, without a shadow of a doubt, but very likely is. Like, I think that's fair.
Easily?
Especially coming from Charlie Kirk. What do you expect anything more than that?
We don't know.
I don't know all the facts either.
So it could be Saudi or Israeli. I'm open to discuss this at any time, and I think you're coming after this with good faith. Here's where I don't like it. The guy earlier, it's the Jews, it's the Jews. I think that's just dreadfully wrong. But as far as understanding, we should always put our country first. And I will ask, so you have
Christ first before our country.
I agree.
There it is again, and he agrees. Christ first before our country. Their whole talking point is America first, and that's a lie. They're Jesus first. They put their Jewish God and their Jewish Messiah above their own people and country. Again.
As far as understanding, we should always put our country first. And I will ask, so you have
Christ first before our country.
I agree. So how do we know the Bible is true?
We know it's true.
I have an answer.
I read about it in a book.
Because we trust the church fathers, we trust our faith,
we know it's true because we have faith and we put authority in our church fathers. Appeal to the church fathers fallacy. Appeal to authority of the church fathers.
Archaeologically,
archaeological evidence.
Where is that archaeological evidence?
Palestine. Over in Israel, Palestine, the Middle East. It's all over
Israel, right.
Jordan as well.
Well, it's not very much in Jordan, but it's in Israel.
That general area, yeah.
So, but we are able to prove that our Lord walked on water, able to prove that he rose from the dead. We're able to see the place this happened because of the reconstitution.
Hold on. He really does. This is his go-to argument for proof of Jesus is you can go see that there's a lake where he walked on water. There's a sea where he walked on water. So that means he walked on water. How can Charlie Kirk appear so intelligent and then say something so stupid? He thinks this is his big gotcha moment is, well, Jesus is real because Jerusalem exists.
Of the state of Israel, but we are able to prove that our Lord walked on water, able to prove that he rose from the dead. We're able to see the place this happened because of the reconstitution of the state of Israel. Israel is a preservation.
What? It would still be there whether Israel was a state or not. The area would still exist. Weezin the Jew says, there's a bite in the cookies I left out for Santa. It happened. That's better evidence than this. Hey, a place exists, so stories about a guy in that place are real. New York is real. Batman is real. It's kind of Gotham, but I think it's based on New York, right? Spider-Man, more accurate. Hey, there's sewers in New York. I saw the sewers in New York. So I'm pretty sure the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are real. We can prove it.
Tool to make sure that veracity, authenticity of the scriptures remain. And you don't have to agree with this, and I understand. Israel represents the birth of civilization. It is a connective tissue to the West. And I will go ahead.
Birth of civilization? Civilizations existed long before the Bible, all over the world. The Greeks, the Roman civilizations. Enough of this, we wouldn't have civilization without my Bible and my Jesus.
And you don't have to agree with this, and I understand. Israel represents the...
Yeah, Netanyahu, you could go see the Jesus boat. Thank you, Real Based Enjoyer. Yeah, come on, Goy. Netanyahu's like, come on, Goy. Come check out the Jesus boat. Was Jesus actually on that boat? Well, he could have been. We don't know that he wasn't. Same thing.
The birth of civilization. It is a connective tissue to the West. And I will... Go ahead.
Why do we still consider them so largely to be the people of God? It's almost like we favor that term, which I don't think that there's enough backing and actual evidence and proof.
The whole Bible is about how they're the people of God. Until the new parts of the New Testament where it says, well, the Goyim can be the people of God too, as long as they believe in Jesus. But for the Gentiles to become in the covenant, that means there is the Jewish covenant to begin with. Can't have one without the other. I don't get where you think that the Jews are chosen. All of the Bible is like the chronicles of the chosen people. Come on. It's not just a Schofield thing. It's a Bible thing.
Israel represents the birth of civilization. It is a connective tissue to the West. And I will... Go ahead.
Why do we still consider them so largely to be the people of God? It's almost like we favor that term, which I don't think that there's enough backing and actual evidence and proof. Not that we need proof, but we just constantly say these terms. They're the people of God. They're the chosen ones. But the truth is that they rejected Jesus Christ, and that doesn't mean that, a lot of us reject Jesus Christ, unfortunately. But as Christians, then we say they're the chosen ones, but we know that the Christians are now the chosen ones because we chose the real God.
Got it. So that's where we have a theological disagreement.
Okay, so they're the previous chosen ones, even granting that. Okay, they were once chosen. It's like Bill Clinton. They call him President Bill Clinton. He was the president one time. Former president. It's like once the chosen people, you're always still known as God's first chosen people, even if you think they're not anymore.
We are told in the end of times that the keepers of the law, the Hebrews, will turn back to Christ.
Boo-hoo, they rejected Jesus too. That's what it always comes back to. It's so controlled up. Oh, they rejected. Their only problem with Jews is that they rejected Jesus. The fact that they wanted a Messiah to conquer us and rule the world, that's not a problem. Christians want the same thing.
Hopefully, amen.
How dare they fulfill Jesus and God's plan and reject him?
And so we believe the Constitution of Israel is the beginning of hopefully that unfolding process.
Yeah. Accepting that they were ever chosen, and you're already granting them their greatest delusions, granting them everything. Muslims believe they were once chosen too. Exactly.
When we criticize Israel, it's clear that the treatment is unfair, and unfortunately, especially on your side of politics, any conservative that usually criticizes these, they're not allowed to hold events like this. They're not allowed to receive funding. They lose their bank accounts. They all have to work mostly normal jobs, because if you criticize that, you don't get to do stuff like this. Okay. So why? It's a specific thing.
Maybe because nobody takes you seriously crying about Jews killing Jesus. Maybe that's why it doesn't work. Maybe that's what they use as the justification to censor you.
Specific country, specific people. It's not China. It's not Russia. You can criticize China and Russia pretty fairly, but if you criticize Israel,
I disagree.
You lose all that stuff. You can't disagree. It's just facts, though.
No.
You know a lot of people that have.
Hold on a second. If you really wanted to start like an anti-Israel organization or whatever, it's so easy to get funding.
That was JFK. He didn't want to support what Israel was doing, and then he got
not
killed.
letting me finish my sentence, man. So I'm going to have to go to the next question. It's very simple, okay? If you wanted to go like start a Turning Point USA to go like fight against Israel, I could tell you someone that would finance you with a lot of money.
Soros.
Muslims, and they would finance that organization to the sky. But why isn't that?
Not about fighting or
Hold on, you just said no one's going to finance it. There's literally 1,000 Muslim organizations. You can go to
I'm talking about America.
No, there's plenty of Muslims in America. Elon Omar could finance your organization. Rashida Tlaib could finance your organization.
I want to work with Christians, as do you. I want to work with you.
I got it.
And I think we could.
But Christians have a reverence for the Jewish people,
Yeah.
as we should. Our Lord
But if they
Hebrew.
openly deny Jesus Christ, then there's this expectation
we
that
should
they
have
can do whatever they want to a certain degree.
We should have a
And we
mercy.
can still give them it because they're God's chosen people.
They are God's chosen people. We should have a mercy.
So are we, though.
Well, so actually, I don't necessarily. I don't. If you mean by the
You weren't the first chosen. You're the sloppy seconds. You had to be grafted in. You had to be adopted. This is a good clip. It's the first I've seen it too. Yeah, Yahweh's sloppy seconds. You're plan B. You're not the original chosen people. You're not the real Jews. You can only become the spiritual Jews through faith. God's chosen lunatics. Chat, you'll take some Muslim bankrolling? Guess who's not getting Muslim bankrolling? Me. Peace be upon him, Esau. Esau, Jesus, and Mother Mary, peace be upon them. Yeah, they ain't backing us. They're part of the Abrahamic deception. They've fallen for the Jesus hoax. Just a different version of them.
Whatever they want to a certain degree.
We should have a
And we can
mercy.
still give them it because they're God's chosen people.
They are God's chosen people. We should have a mercy.
So are we, though.
Well, so actually, I don't necessarily. I don't. If you mean by the elect of Christianity being chosen, I will agree with that.
Everybody can be chosen.
The keepers of the law.
Everybody, all you got to do is believe in the magical Jewish superhero Messiah, and you get to be a special chosen boy too. You just got to believe in the magical Jews and their blood magic sacrifice of God to himself, and you get to be a chosen special boy too. What's with this obsession? Being obsessed with wanting to be chosen or have the covenant or be Israel is putting Israel up on a pedestal. It's elevating it to some desirable, legitimate thing.
What an idiot.
That's what I think about these people.
What an idiot. Oh, what a loser.
That's how these guys sound.
Which are the Jews, are God's chosen people.
But the law is finished.
Well, no,
Jesus Christ is the end of the law. That's what it is. That's the truth.
No. Jesus said, I did not come to abolish the law, but to fulfill the law.
So he fulfilled the law. Do they follow Jesus or do they follow the old law?
It says that the ordinances of Moses.
There's also verses that say they have to follow the law forever.
Old Testament and New Testament.
You're not letting me finish. I'm sorry. I'm trying to help you out here. You're not, again, went too deep theologically. We have a difference of opinion. I believe that we have a moral obligation to defend the Jews and to understand that they are God's chosen people.
Should we defend the Palestinians, though?
Okay, you're not letting me finish. Thank you. Next question. It's not.
Christ is king. Look into it. Look into the JFK assassination. Look into the Epstein files. It's true.
Christ is king. Charlie agrees that Christ is king. You're not owning anybody. Moshiach is king. The Jews hate when we believe in Moshiach and King David. God, these people are so tiresome, dude. See Through It All's losing it in the chat. Losers for Jesus. Dude. This is what happens when these groypers and these frogs and these Christians online go try this in the real world. Go try this in your church. This is how it plays out. You're dead on arrival. It's a non-starter. You're guaranteed to lose. It doesn't work. Christians have been regurgitating and trying these failed talking points for decades and centuries. And where has it gotten us? Turning Coat USA. That's good. That was a good one. Another student he debates.
You want me to put British dash Palestine? How does Israel benefit us as a partner?
Well, first and foremost, you're a Christian.
Yes.
How do we know the Bible is true?
From the land of Israel.
See how they try to manipulate? How is Israel our Thank you, William.
William Orange sent $10 on Rumble. We're going to have to act out their entire messianic LARP to its inevitable collapse. I'm afraid, Adam. Maybe we can help them speed it up.
Yeah. Maybe we should go accelerationist and just go super hardcore Christ is King. Like Evan, like our boy Evan on Twitter. We just all need to go Evan mode. So he asks legitimate question. He goes, why is Israel our ally? And how does Charlie Kirk do it? He sees a cross necklace and he goes, oh, he's a Christian. I'll get him with this. How do we brainwash the Goyim that Israel's our greatest ally? Leverage the fact that they're Christians and believe in the Bible. That's the approach. That's the brainwashing tactic.
Palestine.
That's not Palestine.
You want me to put British dash Palestine? Does that help?
Well, as a Christian, so are you Armenian Christian?
No, I'm actually Palestinian.
Okay. So what? And you're Christian?
Yes, I'm a Christian.
Okay. Well, praise God. I'm thrilled to hear that. So, but I think you can acknowledge that we as Christians have to honor the Jews. Do you believe that?
I think we should honor everyone. People are people at the end of the day.
But in our scriptures, it does say that we should bless the Jews. That Genesis 12:3, bless those. I will bless those descendants that bless me. And we have a covenant with Israel. Do you share that as a Christian? That belief?
How does Israel benefit?
Oh, I wanted to hear his answer. Why'd they cut it? Charlie Church, dealing with unhinged people daily. Let's hear this one.
Our mic, not your bullhorn. Come up to the mic. Come up to the mic. Come up to the mic. No, come on, come up to the mic. Since you're so smart, show the world how smart you are. We'll give you our mic, not your bullhorn. So come on.
So you don't send $5 shirt. I did. Jesus isn't Jewish. See how short and sweet. A lot of Christians hear about see-outs on their kosher networks. Please deploy that meme for cognitive dissonance.
Tell us what's so pressing that you needed to interrupt us before he could even talk.
So, let's talk about the 200 people deported without due process to El Salvador. I don't know if you saw this morning, but a United States citizen was actually deported.
It was not a U.S. citizen. That's not correct.
Liar.
It's not a U.S. citizen. It
What?
was actually...
Come on.
No, it was someone that was living here. Yeah, it was not a U.S. citizen.
Hey, this guy just f***ing lies. It's not.
No.
Hey, no. You wanna have a debate, but you don't.
It was
debate.
not a U.S. citizen, first of all.
You wanna have a debate, but you actually don't debate. There's nothing more ill-faith than this.
So
you're not.
we already have a mic.
Name two times. Name two times where you've changed your
Show
mind.
me you're losing without telling me you're losing.
What?
I saw Jake Shields posted that they were trying to set up a debate between him and Charlie Kirk. Even though I think Jake is right when it comes to Israel questions and Zionist questions, minus the Jesus stuff, I do not think that will end well. Charlie Kirk, for years, has been going to college campuses and debating people like this. Jake Shields, I don't know if he's ever had a debate. If that happens, they talked about, I think people are saying they think that it was Tim Pool that was trying to host it. It would be a massacre. It would be devastating. I kind of still hope it happens, though, honestly.
So you're just going to lie?
Well, first of all, it's not a U.S. citizen. He was living here for a while. He was part of MS-13. Answer yes or no.
Okay.
Should members of a...
Yeah, Jake Shields didn't want to have me on the show without a Christian there to counter me or debate me because he doesn't know enough about Jesus. But he's willing to go and debate Charlie Kirk on a huge platform. Jake should debate leg locks, not geopolitics. He's got some good takes. He's got some bad ones too. But I mean, you think Jake would blow Kirk like Nick has? Yeah, no. Nick would do millions of times better. Why will Tim Pool try to have? Maybe Charlie Kirk won't debate Nick. That's the thing. They all want a piece of Jake, though. It's like low-hanging fruit for them. That's why they're trying to get him set up.
Terrorist organization be able to stay in the United States after they've murdered, raped, and gone after American citizens?
Obviously, no.
So we have deported those people back to their country.
Yeah, they won't allow Kirk to debate anyone who actually knows how to argue these points, right? Yeah, Need More Amalek says, just to note, if any of our guys try to do this, you have to make sure you look good while you're doing this. You can speak well. You know what you're talking about. I've even seen Nick, because this is a Groyper Nick thing with a lot of these Christians asking Charlie Kirk questions. And I've heard him get mad and say, guys, if you're not good optics, if you're fat, if you are dumb, don't do this. But that doesn't stop them. They do it anyway.
The Fifth Amendment
That's what they've done.
calls for...
You had a power chat, Zorn to Erdem? I don't know if I saw it. Was it when I stepped away? I'll replay it. If power chat will load. Let's see here. Where's my events? Here it is. I'll replay it.
Son, you don't send $5 shirt idea. Jesus is a Jewish psyop, short and sweet. A lot of Christians hear about psyops on their kosher networks. Please deploy that meme for cognitive dissonance.
A Jewish psyop? Jesus is a Jewish psyop? How about Jesus fake news? Jesus is fake and Jewish, something like that. Most people, I would assume, don't even know what psyop is. They'll think it's like a French word or something. So I don't know about that one. Thank you, Zornder Edom. I really appreciate all the support, Zornder Edom. Wish some of you guys would chip in and contribute to the show a little bit more like Zornder Edom. It would make a big difference.
Does not apply to foreign citizens that are here illegally.
All persons.
No. It's only to U.S. citizens.
That's a lie. He's a liar.
So, okay.
He can debate. He just lies.
You've now sworn like 3 times. Let's just calm
you don't
down
like
a little
freedom
bit.
Of speech?
Well, I mean, you could say whatever you want if you want to make a fool of yourself, but we do have like 10-year-olds here and 11-year-olds, so can we have some decency?
Whatever.
Okay, you don't care. You're a typical leftist because you only care about yourself.
Who said I was
not
a
about the other people.
Who said I was a leftist?
It's very clear by how you're...
Who said it's so obvious? You could tell just from his voice and the way he's arguing.
Let me ask you a question. Should we be able to deport terrorists that are here in the United States?
With due process.
And we gave them due process.
What was the due process?
They were part of MS-13. It was very clear.
No,
and now they're in an El Salvadorian jail.
That literally isn't true.
Most
also,
importantly,
why wouldn't they just get deported? Why would they get sent to a jail?
Well, deported to a jail. By the way, many of these people...
Not in their country. They're not from El Salvador.
Many of these people were already in prisons.
JK sent $5.
Thank you, JK.
I loved how Adam King contradicted himself in the panel stream when he said, I pray bye-bye stops hurting the Jewish image, but then later on kept trying to morally justify the Gaza ethnic cleansing.
I didn't pick up on that. He was saying that Netanyahu was giving Jews a bad image. I don't think... If anything, he maybe thinks Netanyahu doesn't go hard enough on Gaza or Muslims. Or he also complains that like the government in Israel is not Zionist enough, isn't letting them rebuild their temple right away. Or he complained about them giving up the Temple Mounts in 1967 and giving up Gaza. Saying that Bibi hurts the Jewish image, he's probably referring to vaccines, I would say. But yeah, thank you, JK. I'm glad somebody saw some value in the content. of having somebody we disagree with and talk about all the time on the show. See somebody else kvetching. People have been saying this for years. Like, I know what I'm doing. We talk about Jews all the time, and we're never supposed to like debate them or ask them questions to try to get them to say things. It's annoying. It's annoying. They say the same thing about everybody. People just find reasons to complain
against the United States of America. So do we have a right to decide who is in the interior of the United States?
Yeah.
Okay, so then what's your big disagreement?
It's called due process.
Again.
Okay, I can't hear this leftist anymore. Only the Groyper talks were good. So here is Roseanne Barr lashes out at Candace Owens, calling her a monster. Is this the clip where she calls to beat her up too? I think that's another one.
Then by all means quit. Her answer to that.
What's her take on Candace Owens?
Monster. If I see the bitch, I'll knock her the fuck out. She's an Islamist. Everything she says is straight out of it. It obviously comes down to this. She's taking the Qatari money. Hello. There's nothing else.
Qatari money. Yeah, these people that don't understand, they never want to see a debate. They never want to see us go head to head. They never want to see us ask the hard questions. It's so short-sighted and like one-dimensional. It's like simpleton brain to not get it.
Where do you think this came from? Because she obviously used to be...
She's getting paid by Jews, so she was doing that number. But I think when she got fired for being a Jew hater, and she is a Jew hater on every level, and from medieval times with her blood libel bullshit and all that stuff. Ben Shapiro said it to her straight. If you feel taking money from the Jews is against your God, then by all means quit. Her answer to that was, are you saying I can't quote the Bible? She's friggin' crazy.
What's her take on Candace Owens?
Okay, that's not the clip, but in the same interview, she says that maybe we'll still see it. She said she wanted to, if she sees Candace Owens, she's going to like hit her or something. That's what she said. Maybe it's here. This is it.
Christianity and Islam, which has killed the Jews.
That's not it. That's the, well, we will play this. She was on Alex Jones today, by the way.
Islam, which has killed the Jews and hate the Jews. And Chrislam, they want to be the world's, the one world religion, because they want control of Jewish lands with no Jews in them.
Let me.
And we never talk about it because we're not allowed to.
Well, there's a lot of conversation going on about Israel today. That's for sure.
All bullshit. All 100% Muslim Brotherhood bullshit. That's who controls our media, not the Jews. The Muslim Brotherhood controls our media.
Really? Peak gaslighting.
Islam, which is
There's your MAGA Queen Esther. Amazing. So Roseanne threatened violence to her. She apologized. Candace Owens leaked DMs. Back at the edit. Candace Owens apologizing for saying something aggressive to Roseanne. Obviously, you and I have big disagreements, and I'm a crazy old Jewish lady, but I suspect they're going to try to make it go viral to pump up their podcast, and hopefully you treat it as another big mouth Roseanne moment.
Slovinkle ever sent $20 from the outside looking in. All this is more easily recognizable as a cult on Heathen's Gate. Thank you for what you do, Adam and friends.
Yep, it's very obvious from the outside looking in what's happening, but when you're there, you're stuck in the paradigm. When you're brainwashed on the prophecy plantation, people are into it. Okay, what is this? Oh, it's just a divide and conquer thing. That's what she says. I hate when people say that. Triggered about comment. Bold ass bitches should come together. Praying for you and your latest blessing that your delivery is perfect. Dude, these girls are leaking DMs like this. I am very triggered by your comments. I admit that. Bold ass bitches. Oh my God. Roseanne is so mentally ill. It's such a joke that the right thinks that Roseanne is like their top celebrity. Roseanne. So embarrassing. Complete nothing. She says, Candace says, thanks for the apology, Roseanne. It is accepted, and I'm sure you saw on my show today. You know what? I want to try to find Roseanne saying that she wants to beat her up. Candace Owens. So that blood libel shit.
Confused about Zionist arguments. These
monster. If I see the I'll knock her the out.
There it is. I'm sure the little old Jewish lady's gonna knock her out.
Candace Owens.
Monster. If I see the I'll knock her the out. She's an Islamist. Everything she says is straight out of it. It obviously comes.
Islamist. She's Catholic. Dude, people can't get anything right.
Down to this. She's taking the Qatari money. Hello. There's nothing else.
Where do you think this came from? Because she obviously used to be.
She's getting paid by Jews, so she was doing that number. But
maybe she's still getting paid by Jews to make opposition to Jews look retarded and flat earth and all in the Christian paradigm.
I think when she got fired for being a Jew hater, and she is a Jew hater on every level, and from medieval times with her blood libel bullshit and all that stuff.
Crazy. Wow. Funded by Qatar. I learned so much about myself on the internet, and this one really deeply upsets me because I do want the money. I just want to be very clear on the record. I want the Qatari money. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyways, I just want to show you guys everything is performative. Everything is fake and gay, kind of a theme of the show. And Roseanne Barr, you are included in that because she does these things and she says stuff like that. And before it even airs, she always messages me and it's like, oh, just letting you know this is coming out. But like, I love you. And, I was just kind of like playing it up to the camera. She's done this like 3 times now. And it's just getting a little bit like, Roseanne, come on, man. Stop trying to create viral clips. Stop saying the stuff that isn't true. I'm not going to come at you hard because I just don't really care to. I also kind of respect my elders and I had a pleasant time with you. But I'm going to show you before this podcast even dropped, because nothing is real. Like, I want you to know that nothing in Hollywood is real. Everyone's just playing a role. This is what she messaged me after she got off the podcast. She said, this is a private ex DM. She said, well, I did it again. This time I was super triggered and made a rather aggressive comment on a podcast about you. Yeah, rather aggressive. You threatened to punch me in the face, knock me the F out. And I'm like 9 months pregnant. It's not very nice. She said it sounded very insane looking back at their edit.
Namesake says, Adam, how the hell do you not go crazy with all these retarded schizo influencers muddying the waters and getting everything wrong? You guys keep me sane. The streams, seeing you guys get it online, seeing you guys destroy all their bullshit in the replies, and going to the gym. I'm just pumping out reps, like thinking of all these idiots. Thinking of all these slanderous liars. Thinking of all the brainwashed sheep and how I wish I could reach them.
And I wanted to reach out and get ahead of it. Obviously, you and I have big disagreements, and I'm a crazy old Jewish lady, but I suspect that they're going to try to make it go viral to pump up their podcast, and hopefully you treat it as another big mouth Roseanne moment. But if you don't and want to argue about it publicly or whatever, that's your right, of course. With all that set aside, we really do need to figure out a way to keep the right from factioning. They, the elites, took down the left by getting them to have arguments internally, and they're doing it to us now. I feel it's a divide and conquer thing, and I hate myself that I got caught up in it at times. Why privately, though? Right?
Yeah. Pretty shady.
They excommunicated the Frank. I loved when they excommunicated the Frankists, which Candace Owens knows nothing about but loves to yap about.
Yeah, what's her take on Candace Owens?
Monster.
It's the Frankists. Hold on. It's so funny that she's blaming the Frankist and that Candace Owens said it's the Frankists also. Is that what she's talking about?
Which Candace Owens knows nothing about but loves to yap about.
Yeah, what's her take on Candace Owens?
Monster. I loved when they excommunicated the Frankists, which Candace Owens knows nothing about but loves to yap about.
Yeah, what's her take on Candace Owens?
She's saying the Jews excommunicated the Frankists or the Christians did?
Owens.
Monster.
All right.
Monster.
Uh-huh. If I see the bitch, I'll knock her the fuck out.
That's
cool with the anti-Semitic remarks.
That's hardcore. All right, guys. Almost 3 hours today, and we missed the goal by $33. So that's unfortunate. I guess I got to come back and watch the Andrew Wilson versus apostate prophet debate to make up and make the goal for today. So Mrs. No More News can be happy, and I can take care of my babies. Chat's fighting. What's going on in the chat? You guys are fighting with Muslims. There's Muslims in the chat. Is that what's going on? Not surprising. Hey, Muslims, you're part of the Abrahamic matrix too. Cope with that. Appreciate everybody that did support. Slevin Kellera. So that's a hard one. Slevin. You guys need to make these names easier for me. Slevin Kelevra. Thank you. JK, Zornder, Edom, William Orange, Zionist Cuck, Brady West, Dominic Buscemi, Aswat. Appreciate you guys for making the show possible. If I don't see you on my stream, I'll probably be streaming with Big Tech, the debate. I don't know. I still haven't heard back from him. I don't know if he wants to do it or not. And if that doesn't happen, I decide to go to the gym or something, I will see you guys tomorrow with another show. Love you guys. Hail the old gods, down with Yahweh. Spread the links. Oh, CR4 Freedom. Thank you.
$3 on Rumble. Finished.
It is finished. Why is the goal not being updated? Does it just take a second? Add on there or something? Thank you so much, CR. For freedom, helping us reach the goal. You guys are amazing. I love you all. I will be back tomorrow. Yeah, confirm Mason. It's all by the numbers. That's funny. Thanks to everybody clipping the show, creating accounts, posting the links, posting the compilations. I can't wait till the book is done. It's going to be done soon, and I'm going to get back on. I'm going to go compilation mode, debate mode, book promotion mode. Hopefully getting some interviews to talk about the book and some debates, and going clip crazy. So you guys have a nice night if I don't see you, and everybody take care.